Hello, how's it going? Tonight we have a little addition to what I was going to cover. I was going to cover the Steven Crowder debate on black exhaustion. I mean, I'm not even going to call it black fatigue at this point. It's black exhaustion. That's literally what I'm going to call it right now because I think we're beyond fatigued. So I have to bring up an extra topic in addition to this because I don't know if anybody's really been following my social media as far as on my Instagram or other social media, but I will say this. Just giving you a refresher, I originally went to war with Roma about 6 months ago. We've been at this for 6 months. 6 months. Me and this Roma chick, I really saw through the guise of her doing all of this, saying that she's advocating for men and she's just dunking on women. How is this helping men? So I this all started with just asking questions. Why is there a woman in our space? And of course, women don't like to be vetted. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because it was sent to me. This was literally sent to me recently. I don't know why I didn't see this because I don't watch her content. Obviously, I don't watch her content. Daniel, not only is she ridiculous, but I think she's a mental case at this point. I don't know what they do in those circles, maybe BDSM or they like to get beat, but I mean, I just don't understand. So we're going to review something that just came out. Well, it didn't just come out. I think I was trying to see if it came out a day or two ago, like look at timestamps. I like to be privy to these things to find out if I'm current on events or not. So now it's like I go to her social media, it just pops up. You know how you're not following somebody on YouTube and content pops up. The content that pops up may not be content that you're following, but it's going to pop up, just because, right? It's just really doesn't make any sense. Oh, this really sucks. There was content I was going to put up, but it says I'm out of storage space. It says for me to free up space and download again. So in real time, I'm being blocked by my own computer. Just got to figure out how to do this to where I can at least free up space. I don't want to like delete Steam games from my computer or any of this stuff. But if I can download movies, why can't I download my Crowder video I was going to download? Let me see if I could do this another way because maybe I'm doing this the wrong way. I'm going to see if I could just bring this up. Is there like a link? Maybe I could share a screen. Maybe that's how this can happen. All right, let's see if we can do it this way. All right, YouTube. Let's see if you can work for me real quick. We're going to cover this real quick, but I just have to make sure that I have the content that I was going to deliver, right? I don't want to say, hey, I'm going to cover something and then say I can't cover it because, all right, we're here now. I think this could probably work. But I'm going to cover it. I think this is going to work. We're going to cover this material first. And I mean, it needs to be covered. There's no way I'm not going to cover this. I'm talking right now to buy time. So let's get to the content. I labeled it Roma Stank. So I wouldn't forget like what content I have up, right? Let's go through this right now. I saw this right before I was going to do the stream, which is crazy because I mean, when I was looking at this, I was just floored because I was like, this woman is still continuing. She doesn't stop. What's up, Nuke Sis? She doesn't stop. This woman with this content does not stop. She doesn't cease. It's like, I don't understand why she's so stubborn and willing to go through the perilous journey of getting stomped by me, not just me, but Rachel, Andrew, everybody else. And even though the Crucible is really laying it on thick in the comment section, destroying her in real time. But right now she's in denial. Let's go through this because I had to screen record this because I didn't have enough time before this. So let's do a quick breakdown.
Annoyed I am at the fact that so many people on Twitter and Instagram right now are trying to claim that I actually canceled the podcast with Andrew Wilson when I fucking didn't. So either you're stupid or you can't read.
She did absolutely cancel the podcast. There's no way that I would think that if I set something up and somebody else agreed to it. She sent a super chat for like 270 something Canadian dollars to Brian's channel at whatever to say, hey, I'm excited about the 10th. All this happened, right? I mean, according to her, she sent a text to Brian saying, you know, we can't figure out how to do this. Hold on. I'm getting a low disk space message. I don't know why. All right, let me get this out of the way. I may have to do like a storage cleanse or something like that. This is ridiculous. I don't, or get a tech savvy person on this right away. So here's the thing. I believe she's in denial, which, I mean, you know, Daniel says. So I think this is the problem with Roma. I think that she not only wants to face battle, go to war, and face Andrew or face me and Rachel. The thing is that she puts up, I would say, you know, these are deterrents when she puts up money and she says money's the thing. She charged me $800. She says, fine. You know, if you want to debate Marte, let's do it. You know, just pay $800 and I'll embarrass your ass in front of everybody. I have a feeling that even if I did pay her the money, she would have never showed up, or she would have just rage quit online or just dropped the debate and I would have never seen my money again. This is how you get robbed, folks. If you pay somebody money and you don't sign an agreement with them or do anything and they're not being held accountable, they can literally run with your money and not show up. Or they can say that they won the debate, even though they got destroyed and they still got paid. What's in it for me? She can say she's a large content creator and then I'm a small content creator, which I am punching up. It's like I lose twice. She could say, well, you got a little bit of clout from this. And I'm like, I destroyed you and I basically paid you to destroy you. This doesn't make any sense. So stupid. Let's continue.
So let me break it down to you. Here I am texting Brian, right? I'm giving him the dates that I'm available in November. I've crossed some stuff out just for privacy and like surprise reasons. I want to surprise you guys, whatever, no big deal, right? I are negotiating back and forth. He's obviously middlemaning for Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson said that he couldn't do the 14th or the 15th. I literally replied that if he wants to do it, he needs to find a date in December, right? This is not me canceling this debate. This is me trying to find a date that fucking works. So instead of responding with a date that works for him, he just went on Twitter and claimed that I canceled.
It's a good point. It should be $800 and each winner walks away with $1,600. Yeah, that would be really good. I mean, I think that would be amazing for something to happen, you know. I mean, literally, if they did this, well, Daniel just said literally, if they did this, I think it would be fair. Especially if we had a moderator that was neutral. And even if we did like a poll or something and we said, hey, there's a panel of neutral people. The thing is, I don't think that the poll would work too. Roma's got like what, 2 million YouTube subscribers? You know, it's like she can then say, hey, I need all of you to vote. Like, it's like, of course, then it would be unfair. But a neutral moderator would be good. You know, I don't think she's a debater at all. She's definitely not a debater. Let's go rewind this back a little bit.
This is not me canceling this debate. This is me trying to find a date that fucking works. So instead of responding with a date that works for him, he just went on Twitter and claimed that I canceled. I never canceled. Do you cancel a dentist appointment when?
So here's the thing. She can say, do you cancel a dentist appointment, and then make up, you know, these accusations. But even that hypothetical fails, and I can explain why that hypothetical fails. You literally paid $270 something Canadian dollars to the whatever podcast to send in a super chat. And then you made several videos saying that you're going to show up to said debate and you're excited to do this. Meanwhile, none of this for the rescheduling was shared to your audience or shared with Andrew or anybody else. You can say that Brian's the middleman and he's, you know, the go-between between both of you. But if he's the middleman for Andrew Wilson and you're saying that he's biased towards Andrew Wilson, wouldn't you share this with your audience? And then wouldn't you be able to weaponize this again? This is a powerful weapon. You could say, see, I'm rescheduling so that way Brian Atlas isn't going to be biased. here, I'm going to show my audience so they have receipts and then they can use this to weaponize themselves. She didn't do any of this. I think that a smart person, if she was smart, could have did this. No, she's saying, well, this text conversation that happened between Brian and her in some bubble that happened. And if you notice, I didn't see a date on this text exchange that happened. She didn't even show that. Let's go through the rest. This is wild.
You're in the middle of fucking booking it? I'm actually insulted because I've spent the last week doing research on Andrew, preparing my arguments. Like, I haven't been.
This is an emotional argument because she's saying something that she really can't demonstrate or show. This doesn't make any sense. She's saying, hey, I prepared. I did all this stuff. No, you did it. You didn't prepare shit. I highly doubt that you prepared anything for this. I don't think that anything was prepared for this, because even your case right now that you're presenting right now shows a lack of preparedness on your end. You're literally getting destroyed by your own hand, the rhetoric that you even spewed. The rest of this gets pretty egregious and crazy. The charges against Andrew Wilson from her are not only erroneous, but insane. I don't really think this woman has really thought this through. I think she likes to go to war, but she doesn't know the entailment when you go to war with people who debate, like people such as me, Rachel Wilson, and Andrew Wilson. To me, I think that this is really ridiculous. You know, we're seeing this on display right now. She's saying that she would expose all of us, but I don't really see the exposure. Hey, Miss D, how's it going? Good to see you from Jake's chat. She's pretty base. She went in Roma's chat and kind of threw some blows. I like that. I think that we all should. And here's the thing. This isn't about just fighting just to fight. If you're in people's comments, I think that you should be promoting a debate. I don't think any of us should get in her comments. This is just my opinion. Attacking her kids. I'm not saying anybody's doing that. Attacking her personally, doing any of this stuff. And I can understand descriptors like, you know, I've said, hey, you have tattoos. That's my preference. Things like that. It's not personal attacks to me, in my opinion. These are things that we all can see, you know, in a decision people make. This is the entailment of somebody's worldview sometimes, is maybe in the Maori religion, they have tattoos, things like this. This could be in the entailment of religion. That's not, I wouldn't even consider that too much of a personal attack. A personal attack to me is like kids, family, spouses, personal things like this. We're going to get to this pretty soon too. And that's the thing, though, is like, if we really dive deep down the rabbit hole of Roma, she wants to then have all these accusations towards Andrew, but none of them address the fundamental argument that he has against her in her worldview. None of them do. If she did so much studying of Andrew's personal life, she did zero studying for the argument that he has against her, which is what she needs to refute, which doesn't make any sense. No sense at all. No, Pumpkinheads, Andrew didn't cancel the debate. It was her. And that's what I'm demonstrating right now. So yeah, I see you guys going back and forth. Yeah, so he didn't cancel. She posted super chats to Brian's channel. One of them being one for 270 something Canadian dollars, saying, I'm excited for this debate. I can't wait to show up, and then showed videos of doing this, and then wrote on her social media, hey, the 10th, I can't wait to destroy your boy on the 10th. All this happened. And I know I'm repeating myself right now for the people that just got in the room, but she, in a private bubble with Brian Atlas, was texting saying, hey, I can't do this date or whatever. I'll even concede this. What if she said this? She didn't tell her audience or tell anybody else this. If she really wanted to win the war on receipts, she could have did that. But no, time is of the essence. Time refutes your whole argument here, and it doesn't make any sense. No, I'm not monetized, so maybe you guys can get me monetized. The reason why I'm doing extra videos and extra content now is because I need to up my watch hours. So sharing my videos does help. I know Jake's super monetized, ridiculously monetized. So to me, it just doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. So yeah, that's the thing though. I think that she would rage quit, no show. I don't know if this is, I think we're still doing some fact finding here. I can't make an absolute claim to this, but I can say what things look like on their face. I think I'm at the right subs, Misty. I just think that my watch hours is the only thing that is telling me that I don't have a. It's like 100,000 or something. It's something crazy. So we'll work it out. But let's get back to the content right now and dive deep on this and dismantle her idiot logic.
Sleeping. I've been working really fucking hard at this. No, what really happened is he didn't want to.
So hold on. Let's go back to this. This is really interesting. She says she couldn't sleep. She is working really hard at, studying for the debate. Mind you, if she was working so hard, she would have something to counter his argument, which we're going to move
arguments forward. Like, I haven't been sleeping. I've been working really fucking hard at this. No, what really happened is he didn't want to be exposed.
I don't even see any bags in her eyes. She looks like she's refreshed. What?
Exposed live for the shit that I'm exposing him for, right? Like, for example, his wife having.
She looks like she's refreshed, but she looks like she doesn't look fresh at all. Like, this is like I fresh out of the penitentiary. All right, that was kind of personal. All right, let's continue.
3 baby daddies, even though he's adamantly against that. For example, his wife basically pimping out her daughter to a Nick Fuentes fan who took nudes of her. And
so she's loving personal attacks. This is where I came in. So let me let you guys in on some insight real quick. I was in a chat with Miss D here, who's in a comment section. You guys can say hi to her. So I was in a chat with Miss D here on Discord, and she said, "Oh, she's coming at her kids and everything." I heard that, but I was like, it's in a roundabout way. I was thinking maybe she said something. Got on YouTube right before I was going to do the stream, and then lo and behold, even if you're not subscribed to people, things get suggested to you. I think it's the phenomena of you talking about things, and next thing you know, the marketing and advertising shows up on your phone. Lo and behold, Roma's recent video short shows up, and it's this one. And I said, whoa, okay, I haven't seen this. Is this regarding the debate? That's what we're looking at right now. And then I said, oh, shit, she's attacking their children. And then I thought, oh, that's what Miss D was talking about. Shit. Okay. Like, here's the thing, though. As a man, as a grown-ass man, I think that a lot of men who are also conservative wouldn't be as pissed if we were attacked directly, right? I think not only would we not get pissed directly, we'd actually defend ourselves and it'd be okay. It'd be like, all right, we're built for this as conservative men who are based. We're built for war if something were to happen, right? Now, the thing about conservative-based men who have a Christian ethics system or a Christian ethicist, should I say, if you attack our loved ones, whoa, you're talking about times X. Now it's like we're on the warpath. You don't fuck with my loved ones. You don't fuck with my family. You don't screw with people I care about. This is something you don't do. This is off limits. I'm like Vin Diesel when he says family before everything. Like, you literally, that was pretty corny, by the way. You don't mess with anybody that's family. You don't do this. You don't do this at all. This is something that we don't do. Like, family and kids should be off limits, right? I think that if you attack, Andrew Wilson, I can be like, well, he can handle himself, but I'm also going to be in the fight. I'm not saying I'm not going to continue. This whole thing sparked off because of me. If I didn't go to war with her for 6 months ago, we wouldn't be here, actually. It's maybe we would be here, but it'd be like, I don't know how. But I was the catalyst between me and her. We were going to war, exchanging with content, and Rachel happened to get into the comment section and catch some crossfire. And then when Rachel was getting attacked, it was like she didn't really have an argument. So she called Andrew Wilson out. Well, in her mind, she called Andrew Wilson out, calling his wife a dog. And once that happened, Andrew got involved. So it's like this woman, all she knows is insults. She doesn't know debates. She doesn't know how to debate. She doesn't know how to refute counterpoints. She doesn't know anything about philosophy that I've seen through any of her content. She says that she's educated when all you need to do, when Rachel Wilson was correct about this, is throw money at a college and show up. That's it. You just show the fuck up. That's it. Like, I think a lot of places in Canada, which are really liberal in either that or super liberal, you just show up. And then that's it. And then that's the thing. Like, it's really bad. Misty, you're right about this. Like, Tree of Logic came at her and her kids and everything. It's like, this is just really bad. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. And it's a war of ideology that we have here. My argument towards her was to say, if you're leading men, and this was going to be my argumentation towards her, which she can't refute, none of her audience can. And I've literally asked, I put out a video. Well, I'll get to that later. Like, you know, how's you being an LGBTQ supporter and believing in trans inclusiveness ideology, or even anti-manosphere content, which is anti-men's spaces, how is that helping men? And then as a men's rights advocate, how are you refusing to be vetted by men themselves? If I show up to and I said this before at a prior stream, if I was a pastor leading a congregation and a pastor said, because I said so, what is he teaching me? This is what she's telling men. There's no fundamental principle, exit strategy, or solution she's giving men. That was all going to be my argument. Matter of fact, I have a better argument than that, but I don't want to blurt it out on the stream. But these are going to be like the line of logic as far as argumentation towards her. Notice how none of this was like personal attacks towards her as a person. Like, it all started because I did make a comment towards her tattoos. And if you look in psychology, there's a close correlation between having a lot of tattoos as a woman to mental illness. Like, don't blame me for this. This is something that psychologists said. She could say that psychology is really flawed because they have a replication issue. Yeah, I can't even concede that, but let's get back to your argument, you know, against me, which is nothing but personal attacks. And then once that wears out, I'm going to say, yeah, so what? Let's get back to the argument of why I don't think you should be an MRA for men, which she doesn't want to have this argument because there's no way she can defend this at all. I mean, this is probably like the most modest I've seen her in videos sometimes. So, and that's it. This is a big problem. I think she's really fighting for clout and attention at this point.
For example, his wife basically pimping out her daughter to a Nick Fuentes fan who took nudes of her and used it to blackmail Andrew Wilson.
How does this have anything to do with Andrew's argument or my argument or Rachel's argument against her ideology and worldview, in her genuine authenticity as a men's rights advocate or supporter? Does this have anything to do with the arguments that we have against her? How is me being a roidhead monkey got anything to do with the debate? Or Rachel Wilson being a dog? Like, you see, like, everything that she says is not an argument. None of this is refutation towards our questioning her as an MRA. I don't know what Andrew Wilson's argument quite is. I mean, so here's the thing, though. Like, we look at everything that a person espouses by the words that come out of their mouth, their belief system, and even what their followers kind of repeat, because we'll have mantras and things that people say, like Ronnie Coleman in bodybuilding had, yeah, buddy. You know, everybody else that we all know, think about Ronnie Coleman when any bodybuilder that's a pro says, yeah, buddy. We all know that. Roma's got a mantra, and it's no dick. You know, the platypus sounded like this. To me, that's like, so your mantra is penis. So you want men to reiterate no dick? How does this help men at all? Matter of fact, do you want women repeating your mantra? Is this something that you want in the American staple of the household rhetoric? You know, yes, she deleted the bio. To me, it's just, yeah, she could have said, I apologize, something. She didn't do any of this. She could have done some, you know, putting out fires. She could have did this. She didn't do any of that stuff. Reckless Roma at this again. Yeah, there's a strong, compelling argument for that. You know, she called me a roid monkey. Well, you know, it's whatever. I'm black, but I don't think that I'm a monkey at all. That's a very racist trope for sure. So she's levying personal attacks towards the Wilsons. And to me, this is just ridiculous.
No, Andrew Wilson thought that I was an idiot. And the moment that he found out that, number one, his...
You are an idiot because none of your arguments are logical. None of your arguments are towards Andrew's arguments or mine's or Rachel's at all. They're not counterpoints. Like, in a debate, we'd say, yeah, so what? So what? You think I'm a roid monkey? Can we get back to the debate? Can we get back to the argument?
Audience was on my side. And number two, that I'm not fucking stupid. That he found
Wait,
out
what?
that number one, his audience was on my side.
His audience. Wait, this is crazy. I felt like I heard this for the first time. Andrew Wilson's audience is on her side. This is crazy. This is insane. Andrew Wilson's audience is on her. I've never heard anybody in the Crucible chat, seen people on Andrew's stream say, go Roma. Hey, I think you're kind of wrong about this, Andrew. No, when I watch Andrew's stream, I'm in there sometimes in the chat. When I watch Andrew's stream, I'm looking at people typing stuff. They have moderators watching stuff. You know, moderators kind of clean up your chat for you. I'm not big enough to have moderators. Maybe, I don't know. But I'll designate good people as moderators. You know, hopefully I get to that level one day. But here's the thing, though. I've not once seen this. Andrew Wilson's followers are on my side, she says. Stupid. This is just ridiculous.
And number two, that I'm not fucking stupid. He found any way he could to back out and then blatantly lied to his audience.
He found a way to back out. Now let's investigate this. Let's think logically about this. Did Andrew Wilson cancel or reschedule on his way? On his end? Did he reschedule at all? Did he back out at all? Were there receipts that he's shown? Can she explain how he backed out instead of her? This is ridiculous. This is insane gold right here. Like self-snitching gold. Yeah, I'm laughing my ass off too. This is crazy. Yeah, it must be covert simps for sure. Yeah, and then that's the thing though. She can't really make an absolute claim and say, well, his fans are on my side. Yeah, of course. You could probably see one or two people, you know, but it's like, are they really his fans if they're on your side? Wouldn't that make them not fans if they're on your side? Doesn't that literally refute that logically? Like, to me, if I'm a fan of the Chiefs and I'm saying, no, the Cowboys should win the Super Bowl, am I really a Chiefs fan? No, I'm a Cowboys fan. So if we were in a debate, did she just basically just wreck her own argument here by even uttering that? Like, to me, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, how can you espouse that Andrew Wilson's fans are on your side? Are they really Andrew Wilson's fans if they're on your side? This is literally circular logic that refutes and implodes itself. Because first of all, she can't prove that. And then second of all, logically, if they're not Andrew Wilson's fans, they're your fans. Like, what? I can't believe she even said this. This is ridiculous.
He found out that number one, his audience was on my side.
His audience is on your side. Yeah, that statement right there is one of the most illogical things I've heard. What's up, Scott? Really illogical. Doesn't make any sense. Like I said, I'm a Chiefs fan, but I hope the Cowboys win. Yeah, you're not a Chiefs fan. Like, this is her in a debate. We're seeing this real time. This is literally her in a debate. She's going to refute her own arguments.
And number two, that I'm not fucking stupid. He found any way he could to back out and then blatantly.
Which he never did. We've never seen him backing out or rescheduling. Once again, destroying her own arguments. Once again.
He lied to his audience. So if you guys can't read, that's not my problem. If you think that somebody trying to nail down a date for a debate, that rhymed, is them canceling it?
You weren't trying to nail down a debate. You did nail down a debate time. And, well, not a debate time. Let me retract that statement that I just made. You nailed down a debate date. That's what you did. You nailed down a date. It was the 10th. You sent a super chat to the whatever studio for 270 something Canadian dollars to Brian Atlas's program saying you were excited for the debate. You literally posted this on X and sent a tweet saying, I'm excited for the 10th. Then you posted comments saying that, saying we're going to have this on the 10th. How was that trying to nail down it? It sounds like you were pretty definitive about nailing down this date and having it on the 10th. That, to me, that's not trying to do this if you're publicly paying money, almost $300 to assert that, hey, it's the 10th and I'm excited for the 10th. Who pays almost $300 to say it's the 10th and then say I'm still trying to nail this date down? You see, this is her line of argumentation. This doesn't really make any sense. Yeah, she's definitely lying. She's not really thinking too much. There's no, I don't know if there's anything going on between those ears.
Then you're just fucking stupid. Last but not least, a lot of you are questioning why I would insist that Andrew pay for my ticket. Well, this is just common courtesy in the content creator world. Number one, I have...
So this is the content creator world. We can say, yes, it's courtesy. Wait, hold on. No, it's not. Because think about it. I'll tell you from my own experience, and this is just anecdotal experience. I wouldn't use like anecdotes in an argument or a debate. This would probably just be like side banter. I'm going to the Jubilee program. I'm going to be on Jubilee on the 19th next weekend, destroying tech billionaire Brian Johnson. He's the guy that wants to stay 27 forever. He wants to be immortal. Well, I'm going to destroy his tech hubris. To me, I have to destroy his tech. I'm debating a billionaire. Shouldn't I be getting paid to show up on the Jubilee podcast? They're giving me like a $50 stipend, by the way. I think that covers lunch. I was going to show up to Tim Pool, but they rescheduled and booked. Their booking had me on their program. So it's like we had to reschedule. Like, I'm not getting paid to show up to Tim Pool. I'm not getting paid to show up to Jubilee. I'm not getting paid to be on anybody's major program. Like, this doesn't happen. Piers Morgan doesn't pay you to show up on his program. To me, she said it's normal for the content creator world. I don't know what kind of world she lives in, but I've never heard of this. Andrew Wilson doesn't talk about this. I'm in circles with people like this, with people like Rob Noor, other people that I talk to. I've talked to Jake before. Nobody's ever mentioned, hey, there's a fee for showing up at anything. So for her to say this, she's really taking advantage of her audience that's gullible and doesn't know anything about this. So they're going to automatically assume, oh, yeah, there has to be an appeal. If you don't know anything about the debate sphere, you're going to automatically be like, oh, yeah, that does make sense. She's taking advantage of your gullibility right now, your naivety. Like, this doesn't really make any sense. To the common layperson that doesn't know anything about this world is going to say, yeah, it makes sense for you to pay people that show up. I've never heard of this before. I show up to debates all the time, even virtually on Sarah Tomato's program. She doesn't offer me money. The reason why is because you can make your own money. If I show up and I get enough people sending me super chats, that's how I make money. I don't understand this woman at all.
A lot of you are questioning why I would insist that Andrew pay for my ticket. Well, this is just common courtesy in the content creator world.
She has a Patreon that she charges $70 a month for men. There's like a diamond tier. And then you have to send in your government ID to the site, basically to show proof of who you are, all this. And then there's like schematics that are online that are just projections of how much she makes. But she wants money for a ticket. I thought you're making enough with your 200 or your 2 million people on YouTube. I don't understand any of this at all. I think she's just offering, or she's putting up roadblocks and deterrents from her even wanting to debate. Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense. So, yeah, she wanted to charge me $800, but then says no charge to the whatever podcast. Yeah, that was the number she gave me, was $800. It's so stupid.
Number one, I have 3 times the following he does. Number 2, he's the one that called me for the debate.
So if you have 3 times the following, wouldn't this go the other way and say, hey, you have 3 times the support that you could make off of this debate? So you can make more money. You know, you can make more money than Andrew Wilson doing this. Like, to me, this doesn't really make any sense at all. None of this makes any sense. Misty, I appreciate you. Thanks for sharing the stream and podcast. I appreciate it. Like, none of this makes any sense. What she's doing is just grifting men. She's grifting men out of their pain and anguish. Men are subscribed to her $70 Patreon. Let's say that she doesn't even have new content. What solutions is she offering men? Is she giving men an exit plan? That's my whole debate. That was originally the debate that I was going to have, you know, for Roma. It doesn't really make any sense. It's just nonsensical.
And number 3, I have to travel to another fucking country to do it. It's not fucking rocket science.
She says it's not rocket science and she has to show up to a different debate. She looks ridiculous right here. Like, she has to show up to a different country, all this. Wouldn't this be more beneficial of her to show up, even if she doesn't pay? Because if she's on the podcast, wouldn't she get clips she can use from this? Couldn't she make money off of this? Couldn't she monetize said clips and then dual stream this? Like, she could make more money than Brian could pay her for just showing up. Like, the standard fee, whatever this is that Brian would pay her, she would make more money on the side from her own audience grifting and simping for her than showing up to this. So to me, this is a blatant cop out. To me, this doesn't really make any sense. No sense at all. Like, I mean, that's the thing though. She could show up, but I think she's going to get her ass handed to her. That's really what's going to happen. Yeah, Andrew did send a tweet out saying it's probably not even going to happen. Like, I've seen it, but it's like I saw this before Andrew did, because she did the same thing with me and didn't want to show up. She provided a deterrence at $800. Before, I mean, she offered that. She called me a roid monkey, and she said I was stalking her. All this. If I was really stalking her, I wouldn't be as public. I'd probably be a part of her group and supporting her if I was a stalker. This is not what I'm doing. Like, what I'm doing is I'm refuting her stupid idiot logic right now. It doesn't really make any sense. So now I just wanted to cover this because this is just crazy. Now this is what I'm making, a public announcement. I'm going to war. I'm going to war against Roma. I was going to hang it up and just say, hey, you know what? I'm good. Wipe my hands of this and just say, I'm good. I don't need any of this drama. I'm good. I messaged them. I messaged Andrew, Rachel, and said, you know, I don't think that I have any investment in this. I feel vindicated because she backed out. Not only did I feel vindicated, but I was like, you know what? She looks stupid. Why even, go into having a debate with her? Why even try to poke the bear even more? Why even do this? And that's what I was literally telling the Wilsons. I was like, you know what? I'm out. I'm good. But I did say if she still wants to debate, I debate her. But now, ever since she came out with this video attacking their children and their kid, like, it's on. Like, fuck that. Like, it's all bets off now. And I don't even have to attack her personally to do this. Scott H says, I'm going to say H because I still can't pronounce your name. She's already been on the Whatever podcast before. What's weird, she had to leave a few minutes and came back on again. Looked like she blended right in with the others there. Like, I don't want to make any assumptions here, but maybe she had to go sniff some. I don't know. Yeah, I'm a little personal jab here. But here's the thing, though. Like, you opened the door for personal stuff already, Roma. You already did that yourself. And that's the thing, though. To me, this doesn't really make any sense. Daniel says Rachel will out her before she starts her own opening statement. Yes, for sure. but the difference between Andrew, Rachel, and me, so the three of us, I'm lumping us all in because we're all going to war against Roma in some regard. Mine could be different from Rachel's or Andrew's. My war with Roma was separate. It was separate and it was just altogether totally different, right? I had my own reasons. Rachel got involved and got caught in crossfire. Then it's like her war. She wanted to debate now. Next thing you know, she called Rachel a dog. Andrew's now involved in this. So I think all three of us have our own distinct reasons why we want to go to war and have a debate with this woman, if that's even what you want to call her that. Like, to me, it doesn't really make any sense. So not only am I going to war, but now she has made it personal. She went after the kids. You don't touch the kids. You don't do this. You don't go after loved ones. You don't go after family. You don't go after kids. She crossed the damn line. So now it's all bets are off. I'm coming for your ass. Like this, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to war, Roma. That's it. I'm really benevolent too. I'm really nice. I'm a kind man. I'm really kind. I literally was going to hang it up and just say, hey, you know what? I'm good. I feel vindicated because you backed out like a coward, the coward that you are, and you're lying about it. See, I would have been okay with just that, Roma. I would have been just fine. Just fine. We would have been cool. You know, we would have been just perfectly fine, right? I was like walking out of the door, and I'm giving you a hypothetical, walking out of the door, and that person said, "Oh, I killed your daughter, or I did something to your daughter," right? If somebody said that to you, would you continue to walk out of a room? No. So this is literally what Roma did. She fired some shots, brought up somebody's past, which I'm not even going to go into because it has nothing to do with this stupid debate that we have, right? You went after kids. You went up, and here's the thing: during the whole Tree of Logic thing, if I wasn't even on in the debate sphere when all this came out, right? Because I had my own issues. I was being outed for my own past and everything, my transgressions that I had. I would have went to war with Tree of Logic for coming after the kids. Now it's like we have the same stupid stuff happening with Roma. We have I mean, I'm just going to call her degenerate because I think that doing this with kids and bringing up people's kids, that's degenerate behavior. This is not professional at all. You can tell she's not a debater because she goes after personal attacks and ad homs. Not once has she said anything that would apply in a real debate that would defeat me, Andrew Wilson, or Rachel. It's all just been name calls, personal attacks, and then that's it. I didn't really want to make this podcast or this live stream about Roma, but I just saw this right before I was going to get out. I was okay with just doing a little live thing about Black Exhaustion. That's it. I was fine with just doing that. I mean, we're going to do this, but I'm not going to be too long about that. I'm going to make it really short and sweet. Roma's only good at shit talking. She can see a few patterns. She's just clout goblin seeking money. Yeah, definitely. Clout chasing for sure. Yeah, you don't come after the kids. We don't do that. We don't do that here. We don't attack people's kids. I think that it's really bad. It's a blatant form of like worse than disrespect. Because if you disrespect me, it's one thing. But if you go after like kids, it's a whole other thing. Even anybody in society recognize that. It's like universal. Even liberals understand this. Liberals are people that cross the line all the time when it comes to rhetoric and belief systems and stepping all over rights that you have to some regard when it's related to degeneracy, things like this. Even a lot of them wouldn't touch, well, actually, they probably would, some of them, but they even understand that. That's a universal thing. We don't go after kids. Yeah, we don't do that. So I'm going to war with her. Definitely going to war. So, yeah, after the Trump thing, I can't say that because here's the thing. I have my own conspiracy theories about that. Do you believe that people could be on a list and not be involved with children? That could probably happen, right? I don't think that we can prove that. I can't say one or the other. All this would be called an assumptive claim. I can't prove any of that stuff. We don't have a list. There's nothing to go from. So I can't really make a claim yay or nay when it comes to Trump and being a file. So to me, it just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, the Greta thing, I don't know. I just found out about that recently. I don't know if any of this is an act or any of this is just political propaganda or, anything. Yeah, we can't say. So the Trump thing, I don't know. I haven't always agreed with everything every administration, had when I voted them in. But I agree with like 99.9% of things that Trump has done. To be honest, I agree with a lot of what Trump has done. I'm for illegal immigrants out of the country. They need to get the hell out of our country and states. For sure, that needs to happen. And I know it's something that definitely needs to happen. And you can't say that the Black community is on board anymore because they're definitely not on board with illegal immigrants. A lot of them want them out of their cities, towns, and neighborhoods. So a lot of the immigrants go to the hood. And guess who lives in the hood? A lot of Black people. They don't want illegal immigrants in their neighborhoods. They can see that these illegal immigrants are a problem. Blacks don't want them in the neighborhood. They want them rounded up. And all you liberals that are blocking police vehicles, ICE vehicles, you need to be rounded up too. You should be arrested and put away for a time or fined or something, right? You know, you don't interfere with ICE operations, especially in the performance. I can go on a whole long diatribe about this, but yeah, it's just insane. So, yeah, a lot's happening, especially with money. So, yeah, there's just a lot. We'll see. I mean, there's an argument against why it's not destroying our economy. And then there's an argument for why you can't say. That would be a debate I would happily get into. So I wouldn't mind debating anybody on that topic. Yeah, ICE W for sure. Yeah, I mean, but once again, that would be a debate that we can get into, not tangential or germane to this topic that we're talking about right now. So once again, I'm going to get back to the topic. So let's see if we can get to the main topic, because this whole Roma thing, I'm just done. I'm done playing around. I'm done being nice. I was really kind and benevolent and nice when it came to things. I wasn't nice, actually. I was just kind. And there's a difference between being nice and kind, right? So I'm done being kind to Roma, and I'm done being benevolent. That's not happening anymore. I'm about to go to war, and I'm excited because now I get to really take the gloves off and go ham. It's a wrap now. You came for the Wilson's kids. It's a wrap. I'm done. I'm done playing games when it comes to this. All right, let's see if this will work. I'm going to see if I can do the whole share screen thing real quick. All right. Let's get to this screen right now. Okay. Going to the Crowder thing real quick.
He said this out of his own mouth. He was like, "I'm Indian," but he had on a MAGA hat. Okay. And he walked in and was like, "Hey, I saw you guys on Crowder. Can I get a cut here?" Yeah, I guess so, man. Come on.
Did you have your hand on your piece? You're like, I don't know if you can.
Nah, because he didn't come like that. He didn't have the backpack and the ski mask on. Yeah, he didn't have that on.
Was he nice? Was he good?
It's cool.
Yeah.
I like how he's being nice and he's just having a conversation, kind of breaking the ice. I like this, but I really want to get to the good part. Let's get to these debates. And let's get to the fatigue.
Deliberately kind of make myself smaller. And I thought it was good. We were just kind of able to see other perspectives. Where do you think the country is now? Like with that? Like,
is that an open question? Or?
Yeah, race relations between, because last time I wanted to get your perspective, and there's a perspective now in the white community. None of us are an ambassador for the entire community, but things have changed quite a bit the last year and a half. Temperatures have gone up. But what do you guys think? What do you think we are in the country?
I'd like to chime in on that.
Yeah.
I'm happy you asked that question. There are a lot of social and economic dynamics at play that have certainly gone, in my opinion, in the wrong direction. I don't think that people really understand the gravity of where we're headed. We are vastly sliding into an autocratic regime here. And absolutely, I'll give you several reasons. You see, in order to have You can't have a one-dimensional approach when you're wanting to continue to lead from a global perspective, all right? What you see here today is an isolationism approach which has never worked in the past because we don't have an understanding of geography and history, all right? And I'll just simply close by saying, you got to understand something. The rest of the world is grossly infuriated with the way America has taken shape. And not only that, we're ceding all our best opportunities to China, right? Look around you in the relationships they're fostering with everybody else, which includes Canada, Mexico, and they've even gone as far down into the Latin American corridor, fortifying their bases while we're still hollering that we're the greatest.
Well, here's the thing, though. I have to kind of give us some good feedback here because notice how he didn't bring up the UK in their speech laws. Notice how he didn't bring up Canada and their own issues that they're having right now. Notice how he didn't bring up Ukraine and everything. He's basically omitting everything else outside of the structure of the USA to benefit his argument a little bit. He's bringing up some, I think, topics such as China. He's bringing up other things, but it's like even with us in China, we're tariffing the shit out of them to some degree. So it's like, I don't know. There's an argument here that we could jump on, but it's like the deeper set of issues that we have here is like something that he's not really touching, right? Because he's kind of glossing over all the other countries that we don't want to even be in right now, right? There's the Christians that are being massacred in Nigeria right now. There's a lot of other things right now, but he's like not mentioning any of this, you know? So let's get back to this whole topic right now.
You talking about China, like in the Panama Canal?
Not just the Panama Canal. Let's pivot from the Panama Canal and let's look at the loans.
I know they mentioned. I know you're talking about the issues in Canada right now. How's your speech? How's your speech as far as like your ideology? You know, can we bash that ideology online and say that it's bad and it's harmful? How's that working in universities now? That's still a thing, you know? So it's like, you know, so it's like we have free speech here, but I get it. Like we're having some issues here, but the Biden administration just came out and said, hey, you know, during the stabby jabby era, we took down these videos. So it's like, if you think about this, it's like, yeah, I would rather live here than Canada because there's liberal and there's super liberal in Canada. So I don't know. They have their own issues. We can go into that, but yeah, let's continue.
Term strategy they have now, where they just signed an agreement with Mexico to build another canal bypassing the Panama Canal. And when you look at the whole transatlantic corridor where you got now Brazil and Canada as well as Mexico trading, and they're stopping in Peru where China has a huge presence at, circumventing completely the navigation, the use that comes with having to use the Panama Canal. So we'll avoid conflict with America and just simply go around America is what's happening here.
Talking about China?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I mean, I want to agree with the first part, autocratic. I think China needs to be dealt with, and this is the first time we are. I'm Canadian. Well, I was raised in Canada. Mm-hmm. Canada sucks. Canada is a dog shit country.
Oh, wow. Hold on. What issues with Canada, right? I mean, I guess I could let him talk about this. It's like, hey, you know what? Don't take my word for this. You know, I can let him talk about this. There's a lot of other issues here that are happening in the world right now. And I will give it to him. You know, there's an autocratic thing that's happening with China right now. Yeah. But I think, yeah, let's let him go into this because, I mean, Crowder's the one that's going over this. I just brought this up. And you know what's funny? I just thought this was interesting because this is right up my alley of like content that I wanted to cover because I cover a lot of race relations, relationship dynamics, and things like this. And I do gloss over politics. But I think it's funny that he's in a black barber shop, maybe in the hood. I don't know where he's at right now, but he's in a black barber shop. Just as they say, chopping it up with black folk. Like this is just really interesting that he's having these conversations when really, if you walk into any black barbershop, they're talking about anything from politics and it's really heated in there. And they're having debates about sports. Who's going to win the game this year? Who's going to win the Super Bowl? black barbershops are like, I would say, the hub of like heated hood debates. And he's like at the heart of this. And it's like, if you're really going to find out like what issues, like one of the populaces that we have, I think that so if you look at black culture, I do not support black culture, and I have my reasons for that. He's in a black barbershop, which is a really contentious place to be. And he's Caucasian. I want to assume he's white, right? So that's why I was drawn to this. This is a really interesting dynamic for me to even watch, but let's continue.
Canada, the kind of we're doing it, you can't do this in Canada. If you say something too offensive or I say something too offensive, you will be jailed in Canada.
Oh, shit. Didn't I just say something like this? I've never seen this video before. It's my first time kind of reviewing the video. I'm just blind reviewing this. But yeah, he's absolutely right about this.
Canada. Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. So I'm fine with the U.S. being the best country. I came here from Canada because, I mean, I have friends who were arrested. I had a friend, stand-up comic, was fined for telling a joke. I don't think people realize how good we have it here in this.
That's crazy. That's some UK shit that's happening. Like there were comedians that literally got handcuffed for telling jokes online. Like, and you can be arrested for telling a joke in Canada. Yeah, I'm good. I'll pass.
Country compared to other countries.
But that's the painstaking part about it all is the fact that, you know, I've always been one to say, and I believe this firmly, freedom is not a right. It's a privilege until you wake up the next morning and find out you don't have it anymore.
Yeah. It also comes with duties.
That's what I was about to say. It also comes with responsibilities because while we free to speak and say what we want, and I went to Montreal a few months ago, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Bet you saw a lot of tits on signs. That's all it is.
No,
I
didn't.
It's just strip clubs. Our Times Square is a giant strip club.
It was a couple of them.
Yeah.
But no, like there is responsibility, and like everybody's from different places, different backgrounds. Some of us from certain backgrounds know like running your mouth too much in a certain space can get your ass whooped.
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about. He's in a black barber shop. Like you want to, so that's the thing though. You want to find out the most contentious debates. Don't go to Sarah Tomato's channel for the most contentious debates. Don't go to, I mean, I wouldn't even say the Crucible to some degree for these kind of debates. When I'm talking about the contentious debates I'm talking about are like hood debates. When black people are together in black culture and they're really talking about politics, or because there's a big major distinction. In barbershops, like beauty parlors, you have women that talk and they're gossiping about their next door neighbor, who's sleeping with who. That, you know, that's like a gossip. And then there may be debates on there. But then you have like Sarah's channel where people are having debates. There's a little bit of structure there too. But in a black barbershop, you can get outside and catch some hands. Like, I understand like there's debates that are happening, but this guy understands like after this guy gets his cut, I'm gonna have to see him on the street. Like it's like that's the big difference between this is IRL and then Steven Crowder's in a black barbershop doing this right now. That's crazy. Like this is wild that this is happening right now, which is cool because I think this is a really interesting dynamic once again.
Like you're free to say what you want. You're just not free from the consequences. Like the consequences that come with you saying the wrong thing at the wrong time to the wrong person.
Yeah.
And that's where we all have responsibilities in what we say and when we say it.
Yeah. The problem, though, too, and that's I was kind of talking more domestically. The problem with that idea is a lot of people are offended by different things. Mm-hmm. And so people get their ass whooped for something they didn't say, right? That's the real thing. I don't know if you guys were following the stabbing there on that train in Charlotte, Irina Zarutska. Last time I was asking where you guys thought we were, you know, as far as in the country relation. Like, have you guys heard of the term black fatigue?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, and he said, "Oh yeah, of course we've all heard of black fatigue." But the title of this is Black Exhaustion because I think we're beyond fatigue right now. Now he's about to talk about the Irina Zarutska train issue. To me, that's a really contentious topic to talk about. And I mean, from the look of his face, I think that he's just going to want to gloss over this. Remember, before I haven't even watched this video yet, but remember when that black guy in the video stabbed the girl and then he mentioned, I got that white bitch. I got that white bitch. Like he literally repeated this. I'm hoping that they don't say that it's not a race issue because they're going to look stupid as shit if they say, no, it wasn't a race issue when literally the guy got up, stabbed a girl and said, I got that white bitch. What? Okay, well, if it's not a race issue, why are you bringing race into this after you then assault this girl and literally kill her on this train? Like, this is just insane. But we'll get back to this and see if this guy says that it's not a race issue or not.
You guys know what that means?
Since the last time you came, that's become a thing.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's just become a recent thing.
And do you know what it means?
I'm not sure.
I'm going to ask that.
Yeah, it's a term that's being used.
So I want to give my definition. I think it's black fatigue is like, we're tired of black shit. We're tired of black culture. We're tired of the degeneracy that happens. We're tired of the lack of accountability that happens as well too. Like, we're just literally tired of all this shit that's happening right now, because black culture right now is not good. We can talk about black culture in the past. I'll get back to the video real quick, but you're talking about jazz, you know, Billie Holiday, things like that. Like, that culture is good, but are we even having anything like that in this culture? There's no advancement of black culture that's happening for the better. It's just degrading right now. It's really bad right now. So it's the worst that I've ever seen. Actually, it could probably get worse than it is right now. I'd hate to say that. It's true.
By people in the white community, by and large, again, saying they feel like they've been victimized and they're tired of taking that shit. You know, that was a girl who was dying alone in public. And that was a guy who was let out 14 times. 14 times, including violent crimes in the name of racial justice, right? He didn't have to post bail. He didn't have to appear back in court. This is not the first time he's assaulted someone.
How do we know that was in the interest of racial justice as a
Wait, hold on. Didn't I just say this? Like, I got that white bitch. Like, what does that mean? Is that a racial thing if a black guy says, I got that white bitch, I got that white bitch, after stabbing her in the neck and killing her? Like, I called this. This is crazy.
opposed to just being
because the judge said it.
A fucked up attempt at justice, period.
Yeah.
Like, the legal system has its flaws.
Yeah.
So I'm having black fatigue from just watching this, because what did I say about the black community? No accountability, denial, not wanting to better themselves, no advancement. We're seeing this right now with this guy. This is crazy.
And people have been making complaints about that for decades, right? But that's just, to me, that's a mental health thing more than it's a black and white thing.
Well, I'll tell you why.
I got that black bitch. I got that black bitch. Just mental health. Like, I'm so fatigued right now. I'm exhausted. This is just exhaustion, like I said. Let's get back to the video.
Because white people are saying it now.
Right.
Not just white people are saying, hey, we're in
makes it a bigger thing.
Well, because, white people are 12 times as likely to be killed by a black person than the other way around. I'm just going to shoot you straight. It's not even close.
Where?
Across the country.
Where? Not in
the United States. I mean, we're not talking about Ghana. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, in white communities, or in quote unquote so-called white communities,
across the country, the rate is a black man or person, because most murders men. There are very few female murders. 12 times more likely to kill a white person the other way around. And then you look at the average amount of times that someone in this country is arrested before they're brought in for killing, charged with murder. Do you know how many times they're arrested on average before they murder? 11 times.
Once again, the justice system's got its flaws, and people have been complaining about that for years. We spend more time trying to fix that than trying to complain about the white versus black of it all.
Well, I think, just like I was trying to listen to all communities last time, I think this is something that's unavoidable. If this community, if enough white people get pissed off, they're going, look, we're living in New York now, we're getting killed in record numbers, or Detroit, 12 times the rate. And our system, 3 strikes in California, right? That was a 3-strike policy. The reason that was changed, they said it was racist. Crime went down in black communities 30%. But now people are looking at their cities going, this is a fucking hellscape. And the murder is skyrocketed because people said in the name of racial justice, like, 3 felonies, you're out.
Because crime is crime, right? But crime is usually going to be higher concentrated in areas where there's high poverty. So typically the areas that's high poverty in this country are areas with people with this color skin. So that's why you're going to have that. That's why I said there was no.
So to me, it doesn't make any sense for him to make that statement, because we have collar crimes, right? There's blue collar crimes, and then there's white collar crimes. I don't think I think that there's blue collar crimes happening more so in those cities, I would say, but white collar crimes probably just as bad in more affluent communities, because who's going to be doing like embezzlement as far as like, high crimes of like corporate schemes, things like this. It's probably going to be happening. You're not probably going to see this in the hood that much, right? So I think that when they say this, like, we also have to create a distinction between what kind of crime. So you're going to see different kinds of crime. But I think that his argument is saying that, well, maybe we have like low income areas and people are going to be more desperate. You're going to see more desperation there. You're going to see more acceptance of degeneracy there. Yeah. I mean, I could see that a little bit, but let's hear the rest of what he says.
Numbers could be skewed and made to manipulate to look like, oh yeah, that's why I said in
Not at 12 times the rate. Not at 12 times the rate.
In suburban neighborhoods, white people are not in danger, and that's what this kind of fear mongering tells them, is that you're in danger because you're.
White people are not in danger. He just said that white people are killed 3 times as much, or what did he say? 19? Forget what it was, but more than blacks when it comes to this. And then not to mention that, but so blacks are killing blacks more than whites are killing blacks because we talk about proximity. So you kill people that are closer proximity to you. So blacks would be killing other blacks, right? So he should be looking at his own community as the criminals, right? So by that logic alone, if I'm making sense here. So I don't know. This is what he's saying right now. Let's listen.
12 times more likely to get killed by a black person. You live in fucking. Ain't nobody coming after you. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody tripping on you. But
well, hold on. If a white person dies in a white neighborhood, most likely probably a white person did it. A black person dies in a black neighborhood, most likely a black person did this. So I don't understand what he's really saying right now. I mean, I get it. What he's using is an emotional appeal, but
these people are just as scared as the other folks.
They are if they get on a bus.
Not necessarily.
They are if they get on a train.
That lady wasn't in danger because that man was black. That lady was in danger because that man was crazy.
Nope.
That man was mentally insane.
But why was he back in
family members? He had his own family members call the hospital to try to get him committed. He told his sister he killed that woman because he thought she was trying to read his mind.
Yep. Why was he let out though?
So that's the thing though, is like he might have been let out because the judge probably appealed to his race. Like, let's be real here. Well, he's black, you know, it's like he's mentally ill too. And there's all these other things, but I'm pretty sure that race might have played a part in this. Maybe because he would have had a liberal judge, because that's also a thing that's happening right now too. You know, women get half the time men do. Do you think that this could probably be a racial thing too? So it's like, if there's a sexist thing that's happening in the criminal justice system where women are getting half the time that men are getting, do you not think that maybe there could be something like an appeal to race? Because if we think about the liberal spectrum, I don't think that liberals, and I'm just going to make an overwhelming umbrella statement, I don't think that liberals like whites unless they're gay. They don't like blacks unless blacks are liberal, because they don't like conservative blacks. But if this judge is a liberal judge, guess what's going to probably happen? This guy gets let out. Oh, mental illness.
I'm saying it's because he's black. Yeah, I'm saying people look at it though. The judge said
part of black fatigue.
He's insane, right? We agree.
That's not a black and white issue.
He was deemed not fit to stand trial, right?
Right.
Now,
he should have been institutionalized.
Right. The IOU policy, meaning you don't have to pay bail. Mm-hmm. You don't even have to stay here until you're actually convicted. You just say you'll come back.
Right, which is messed up.
Yeah, the judge, Teresa Stokes, black woman, said, well, this is about racial justice. We need to be softer on crime.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
So that's her reasoning. That's why he was out. You can find dozens of examples.
That's her misguided reasoning.
And that's policy.
But that's systemic.
Wait, hold on. He just demonstrated this, like, overwhelmingly, and he said, oh, but it's isolated, though. Is it?
Really, that's not representative of a whole.
It's not. It's not. No. And look, we always have to say not all. Right. Like not all white people wear MAGA hats.
And I hate it when people use the not all argument, because when I use an example and I refute something by using said example, they say not all. So now I have to say every. Like, I understand, like he's pushing for like hyperbole here, but this is crazy. We're talking about this one case here, and then he says, well, no, throw it out. Throw the evidentiary claim out. Like, this doesn't make sense. Let's go for a broader scope. You need to prove this more. Like, if I give you evidence, like, you're going to say, well, just give me more evidence, because I don't think that's enough evidence. Well, what's the threshold breaker on like how much is enough evidence?
And our dumbass pieces of racist shit. But we have all been accused of racism, sexism, misogyny, homophobia. What I'm saying is black fatigue is white people going, you know what? I know I'm not racist. And I know that we're dealing with record crime, and I know that I'm more at risk. And they have negative interactions, and they're constantly told that they're not allowed to voice their fucking opinion because they're what?
All the time. All of I'm so glad he's saying, I'm so glad I'm watching this video right now. I'm so glad I'm watching this because here's the thing though. I have an opinion. I think that white guilt is a psyop. I don't think white guilt exists. I think that liberal whites tell other whites to hate whites. I hate this. I don't know if anybody else out there sees this, but I hate this. None of this makes any sense. And to me, I'm watching this right now in total agreement with him. I can't believe he's saying this in a black. This needs to be said in a black barber shop. I will say that again.
And if those people get pissed off, like that's where we actually could end up with some kind of, I'm telling you, I see this brewing. I see people who were milquetoast white suburban who are becoming actually racist. Now, not all of them, but I've seen people actually become racist because they get mugged, their store gets looted, and nothing gets done. They're going, and if I say something, it's turned into a racing. I'm telling you what, that's where it's coming from.
That's so true. Because here's the thing, though, we have pattern recognition that happens. If I keep getting robbed and mugged by black people and I'm in a neighborhood, and here's the thing that I said on Fatty's channel in a debate once. I was in a debate and then people were then calling me racist, even though I'm black. Of course, I may look like I'm Samoan, but I said the reason why I would leave a black neighborhood isn't because of the black people. Of course, this is how I'm going to word this because I'm in the middle of the debate. I'm leaving black culture. The culture of it's okay to have crime, the culture of sagging pants, the culture of baby mama being a thing, because I don't see baby mama being espoused in white culture. They didn't really coin this term, even though you could say that whites had the same issue. You know, they could say this, but it's like, where did this nickname come from? Where did this label of acceptance come from? Black culture. All of this came from black culture. To me, this doesn't really make any sense. So when I hear this, they're like, oh, you hate your own people. You hate your own mom. No, I hate black culture because we accept this and there's no accountability for this. None at all. So if I start dating a white woman, guess what? I don't have to pay for lace fronts. I don't have to pay for weaves anymore. I don't have to deal with masculine drama anymore from a woman. Anyways, let me just shut up right now. Let's get back to this whole video because I'm outing myself right now.
Point do we have a talk and go like, okay, let's reform justice, but we have to be honest as to why it was reformed.
And yes, I do. I would definitely date a white woman, but I would never date a liberal white woman. And yeah, I am making this about race because it's for me to find a black woman, I think it would be a unicorn. It's really rare to find a woman because I mean, you have like both ends of the spectrum and there's like few and far in between because in the middle. So you have black women that aren't educated, not all black women, right? I could just say the not all thing too, right? But too masculine, do the finger snap thing, wigs, weaves, which means they don't want to go swimming with you because water will fuck up a wig real quick. Don't want to work out because once again, sweat fucks up your hair, your weave, lace fronts, all that stuff. So you're not going to work out. Black women are the most out of shape in this populace. And then if you go the other spectrum for like educated, distinguished black woman, too masculine, too much boss babe, you're not making enough for me. Like it's like it's really rough, man. I just as a black man saying it's really rough. Matter of fact, but there's this really odd distinction with black women that I will say. When you see a black woman date a white man, she's so sweet and feminine to him. I've seen this in public. But when it comes to her own people like black folk, she's gonna be rude, disrespectful, like maybe her dad wasn't home. You ain't my dad, you know, all this other stuff. And it's like, but she dates a white man. She's going to be real sweet, kind, feminine. It's crazy. Like, I just don't understand this. This is a really crazy distinction that'll make you right. But it's so true. Am I wrong? All right, let's get back to that.
In the first place, this guy, it's not even the only one. It's every 3 days someone's being offed.
Yeah, but at the same time, let's transfer that over to, you know, I mean, there's a lot of unsafe things in this world, like getting mugged by a black.
Wait, hold on. So is he saying that this should be normalized? If anybody tells you, and I would be wary about this, if anybody tells you that this should be normalized, it's because it wasn't normal. Like, think about the train of logic that he's going down. Like, this is literally the train of logic he's going. Like, this doesn't really make any sense. Like, I hope that more people in debates would try to use this logic against me. They get thoroughly destroyed. I see this from 10 miles away. This is ridiculous. Like, this is almost like justification. Well, it happens. What?
person is not the paramount unsafe thing. There's school shootings, there's
Sure.
road rage, there's all of that shit.
Yep.
And the primary people that commit a lot of those are people who don't have this skin.
Yeah, but here's the thing though, those shootings that you see, we could say that the reason why that they're a big issue is because for two things. It involves kids. That's going to be a huge, massive issue, right? The second reason why they're big is because I don't think that they happen as much as gang-related shootings, hood shootings down the block, and black crime. All the time. Would you say that something that happens least amount of time that's real devastating would make the news and be really bad? Like people would magnify that much more compared to something that's more socially accepted, like blacks killing other blacks at this point, because that's really what's happening right now. Like the mayor of Chicago right now, Brandon Johnson, is trying to normalize this right now with illegal immigrants. All the crime that's happening, where he's basically saying it's okay to attack ICE officers and normalize that. So we can see this train of logic is going down the road. And it's really almost kind of like justification for all this stuff. I don't understand this. Doesn't make any sense at all. All he's doing is making more justification for black crime by saying, but what about the white people?
No.
So if switch it over, if black people say, well, we getting fed up and we tired of all these school shootings and all of these road rage and all that, who do we say something to? Who hears our voice?
And when does the white fatigue?
Well, here's the thing though, but that won't happen. It's not happening right now. You can't say this at all because when white kids get shot, black people do nothing. You saw what happened when Irina on the train got murdered by the black community didn't stand up and say, you know what, we're tired of this injustice. We need to step up and do. It's not happening. We need to do something about it. Not happening at all. We don't see it happening at all. Matter of fact, when Charlie got shot, which was really gruesome in front of his wife and kids, the black community didn't come out. There was no represent. Al Sharpton didn't step up and come out and try to represent and say, hey, we're going to step up. This needs to stop happening. Nope. It's only when one of our people gets shot or something happens, then they want to make this a really big, bad thing. That's only when it happens. But when a black person gets shot or something happens and it's really tragic, liberal whites step up. You know, it's like, so we have this weird shift that's happening in America and it doesn't make sense. So that's why when he says, but what about the white people? It falls on my deaf ears. Falls on deaf ears. Because when you say what about the white people? He just brought up Irina being stabbed in the train. Notice how there was like no emotion, no care. And I called it right before it happened. He was going to gloss over this. She got stabbed. Well, it's mental illness. You see how he's not accepting any accountability for what's happening with Irina on the train getting stabbed in the neck, any political violence that's happening, brushed it off. Every time Steven Crowder asks him about anything that happens to white people, it's what about the white people though? You guys do it too. We never want to in our culture own up to anything that we do. Like, am I lying, people? Is anything I'm saying a lie?
And when does the white fatigue kick in?
Well, we've been hearing about white. That's the point, right? We've been hearing about it all our lives, about white fatigue, about systemic discrimination. I'm Canadian, right? Done.
The only white fatigue I hear about is when black people say slavery happened and complain about slavery the whole time and old shit that happened. That's the only white fatigue in things that are non-existent. You know, if I'm in a store and an Asian woman is looking at me because I'm about to steal her product or she thinks I'm going to steal something from a store, a lot of this is from pattern recognition. She could, and here's the other spectrum of the argument. She could say, people could say that this Asian woman's racist, but if I'm in her shop and I'm walking around and I'm black and she's been robbed constantly by black people, wouldn't pattern recognition kick in? So how much of this would you say is racist because my parents tell me, which I was told by my black people say kinfolk, when I got told this, well, when you go into the store, make sure you don't put your hands in your pockets because such and such, you need to be wary about them. Well, why are they worried about me? I've never actually asked this when I was a kid. Why are they worried about me? Because other black people we're continuing on this trend in this pattern of just robbing this store so much that now they were just looking out for themselves and making sure that they didn't lose business. The reason why whites close their business is because black people and people in communities in certain demographics steal from their store so much that they have to take their business down. Like, we never have the foresight to think that some person that was white put their money together and decided to invest in their kids' future by building a business. And blacks come into the store, Mexicans or whoever else, whatever demographic, steal so much that this parent or whoever it is, the shop owner, doesn't want to lose their livelihood because of theft. So when pattern recognition, I was in law enforcement. So if I saw somebody with sagging pads and a bunch of tats, I don't think that they were going to do a proper business transaction on the street if I ran into them and had questions. This is all pattern recognition. This is just ridiculous. And he's just going, what about the white people though? Classic. Classic.
It has been done. That's why we've
Classic denial of accountability.
done systemic justice reform that has led to more crime, right? That's the reason for no three-strike policy. That's the reason for cashless bail. That's the reason for catch and release. The reason for it, in the wake of Black Lives Matter, George Floyd riots, Summer of Love, was we're going to reform crime, we're going to reform the justice system, and it's gotten worse everywhere it's been. And then when white people leave those neighborhoods, well, now it's white flight. If they come in, it's gentrification. And I'm telling you, there are a lot of people who are pissed off, and they're not going to sit down and have this conversation.
Yeah, that's true. Because if whites leave, they take all their money with them. And then blacks complain because they're like, oh, it's so much crime. Why? How come the white people can't come in and save us? I've heard this. They don't say this, but if you listen to it long enough, this is literally what they're saying. But then if white people come in, oh, they're taking their culture. A white person puts braids in their hair. No, that's our culture. Only we can put braids in our hair. And it's like white people come in and they complain because white people are now getting robbed. It's like there's you don't make people win because you don't create an avenue for them to win and you don't help them out at all. I don't know. This might sound like the most racist stream right now, but it's like, I could say this because I have more melanin than people that could say I'm stupid for saying any of this stuff. Like, so that's the thing though. It's like, I could say this, but the reason why I make these arguments right now is because if Andrew Wilson made these arguments, sometimes he could be accused of being racist. If Jake Rattlesnake made these arguments, they could say, well, he's racist. That's why he's white. That, of course he would say something like that. Well, what about me then? What are you going to say now? Because I'm not black enough for you? Stupid.
Conversation and be real about it. And they're going, well, what happens when someone has to keep their mouth shut about everything?
Nobody tell you have to keep
That's
your
how they
mouth
feel.
shut.
That's how they feel.
I don't believe white people have to keep their mouth shut. I think white people don't speak up about a lot of the things that they do and they perpetuate that affects us negatively. That's the stuff that nobody wants to. That the issues aren't made about those things. I really respect the platform that you have because you do have open and honest conversations. And I have to say, I don't believe that those numbers about the black people murdering white people are correct. I don't believe those numbers are correct.
What if they are? What if I'm not lying to you?
If you're not, then I've been misled and I've been isolated from realistic numbers. But I know in this country, from the time that we got here and until now, there's never been hordes of black people that just go out and maraud and menace white people. Interactions happen and things do occur. I'm not saying that.
There's never been a time when black people came out and menaced and marauded? What? What happens when a person's football team wins or loses? What has happened in the past? What do people riot because there's and this is the thing, when sports teams lose or win, did we not have things that happen with blacks marauding and rioting and looting and doing things like that just because of a game? Come on, stop the lies, man. This is, oh God, I really wish I was in this barbershop right now.
They don't, but not.
You're not black enough. That's what I would hear.
Not by and large a number. We can't be this small a percentage of the overall population and still have the numbers that people try to perpetuate.
No, that's a bad argument too, because black women are only 14% of the population, but they have the most deletion of babies that they have. So you can't say that we aren't this small populace, but then doing the most. No, we literally see this in ABs that happen with babies that black women have. They're leading in ABs right now, leading in deletion of babies, but only 14%. Explain that. So this is crazy. Matter of fact, I think on Google, if you look, I think that it's states something like whites will be out of the population in 40 years, something like that. So it's like whites are steadily becoming more of a minority. So his argument, if we were to go down this rabbit trail, literally implodes and destroys itself. I think that white people should be having more babies at this point. I think that there's a white genocide that's happening, or I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, but a white G-side that's happening right now with ABs that are happening at Planned Parenthood and everywhere else. This is all bad. So I want white people to have more babies because, like, I think I value, and this isn't me like Uncle Tomming right now, but I do think that needs to happen. It's just bad. I don't want to comment any further because there's like TOS. So
on to us. See, black people do more harm to other black people than we do to other white people.
Well, that's true. That's true.
You know, so
because people who are close. That's
And we
true.
also have historical evidence of groups of white people attacking and chasing black people.
So it's
coming after.
So
Like,
when people
we have
say
historical
it's not
evidence
happening
of it.
now.
So when
I'm just saying,
and that's the point. We're at a precipice right now.
That's a part of the historical condition.
Well, sure, but someone today.
Hold on.
Yeah,
I wasn't
Big
finished
Mike,
making
go.
my point.
Sorry,
I
go.
wasn't finished making my point. You know, when like I said, black fatigue, that's the newest mantra that's been put out into society to make people think that, okay, they tired of black people. They tired of what you said, that we can't say anything about black people. We can't do, well, when you hold.
they can't say anything about black people. They can't say anything at all about black people. The moment they say, well, you know, those blacks, you know, the crime rate is just automatically racist. But then a black person can say, you know how white people are. And that's commonly accepted. You know, and then I've been in debates. I had a debate on Fatty's channel where I was saying that black people can be racist. But yet you have Candace Owens, you have Judge Larry Elder, Thomas Sowell being called white supremacists. To me, this doesn't really make any sense. So it's like either, and then I have a video that I showed on Fatty's channel during this debate on blacks can't be racist, allegedly, according to this guy that I debated, with a black woman saying, yeah, I am racist towards white people. And this white reporter said, well, what should I do about this? She said, try not to be white. Out in the open with a microphone in her face on the street corner saying this. And then her friend was sitting there laughing with her. Like, this is crazy. Had a white person said this towards black people, oh, they would lose their job. You know, they would be attacked. They would have threats, everything else. But a black woman says this, nothing happens. Let's continue.
Hold all the power, when you hold all the economic rights, when you hold all the things that make this country move, when you're in charge of those things, you know what I'm saying? Well, you know what? I put it like this. White people got the firecrackers, we got the stem. That's it. Y'all got the power. The power is placed outside of the black community. We're charged with all the negative things. Those are the things that are really generally coincide with how people relate to us. The bad stuff that's go wrong with this world is the black people's fault. We the smallest part of this country. Remember that. You know what I'm saying? Beside the immigrants that come here, we have been tasked with the negative, the criminal, the immoral. That's us, and that's what we.
Well, here's the thing, just real quick, because I want to continue on with this video. I was in law enforcement for approximately 13, 14 years, and I had this idea, and I was actually a liberal at the time. So I got red pilled real quick when I was in law enforcement. And here's the thing, I was like, I'm going to treat blacks cool because I need to show them that, hey, we're not there to just, harm them. I want to, contribute to the community because it's public service that we're doing, right? I had enough years of run-ins with the black community to know that, oh man, all right, sounds like a black family that report. Like the majority of the time when I did report to a black household, it was just all bad. Or whenever I had a run-in with somebody black, it was like sagging pants. There's pattern recognition that kicks in. And then that's the thing though, am I being racist for saying this? Do I hate my mom? Do I hate my own race? Do I hate my own skin color by saying this? Like, if you see a pattern enough, you're going to start addressing these issues. And then it's like, oh man, not another black, but like, hopefully it's a good one. Like I say this about everybody, but when it comes to like black calls that I was on, things like this, I was just like, this is crazy. Like I literally had to prepare differently for those than like just dealing with a white person, to be honest with you, for the most part. This is just my experience. This is just an anecdotal statement I'm making right now, but let's just continue.
We consider that's white fatigue, but you know what we do? We just say that's just how it's always been. So we don't make up words for it or terms for it. So now you have a frustrated group of white constituents that feel like, oh, we can't say anything. We have to do this. We have to do that so you don't be deemed as that. Well, if you wasn't that in the beginning to start with, there would be no need for the reform or the feelings that you have. You can't say anything about because you done treated us like shit for so long, and people finally stood up and said, hey, you got to stop treating us like shit. Now that you want to feel like, you know, things aren't going in the manner that you want them, now we want the right to keep saying those things.
What if your premise is completely flawed? And what I mean by that is if we're trying to understand it, you said you have power in all those institutions.
Yes.
What if, for example, you have an entire generation of people, young white men, women, who if they apply to a college or apply to a job, they don't have a grant, there's no Pell Grant, there's no type of subsidy, there's no DEI initiative. As a matter of fact, they're likely to be passed over. They hold no institutional power. And when you say black people haven't done anything, when you think of this white person, a young white person, because I'm seeing some people become radicalized and it can become a problem. Yeah. And then they see billions of dollars and riots and damages all summer long, and then they go, why is this happening? Black Lives Matter, right? So they're going to make that connection. Now, they have no institutional power, but if they go into a neighborhood that's largely black, they're going to get the shit kicked out of them.
Yeah, and that's an argument I made. So it was like the whole blacks can't be racist thing. They were saying that in this debate that I was in, I literally wrecked. It was on Fatty's channel. So if anybody knows Fatty's channel, it's just mainly black. So I went in there and a lot of black people were saying that we can't be racist because we don't hold institutional power. And the argument that I made was like, if we think about projects, right? Projects are an institution. It's literally an institution. Going through the hood, there are projects, buildings where black people live, and a white person's walking through this place, right? Buildings, structure, monopolized by black people. And a black person walks up behind him and says, hey, white boy, run your shit. It's literally what people say to us. Run your shit, right? It says, give me a wallet. The white person says, hey, man, I'm just passing through. I'm not normally here. I was on the wrong side of town. My car broke down. I'm just trying to get some help. I don't care what you said, white boy. Give me your wallet, right? So literally saying his race, saying white boy, right? Now he's getting beat down. They're robbing him, taking his wallet. How is he not being oppressed? And how is this not racist? Because they hold power of this institutional complex that they're in, and they're calling him racial epithets. All this is happening, and they're robbing him. He's literally being disenfranchised right before everybody else. Like, to me, like, how is that not being, how is that not being racist? So for them to say, well, you have to have institutional power. Well, okay, hold on. He's in the projects. Right? This system that's built, literal system that's built, these structures, right? And then not to mention that it's a system. We could say it's a construct, but we could physically see this at the same time too. So to me, I'm like, you can't tell me that black people can't be racist or hold some kind of institutional power, right? We have black barbershops like he's in right now, where whites are terrified to even walk in sometimes. We have black-owned businesses, right? Have you ever seen a whites-owned business that publicly says whites-owned businesses out on the front of it? If they did, they'd be called racist. But blacks can have black-owned businesses, right? Blacks can say, well, I have black pride. Let a white person say I have white pride, right? And we know what they mean. We could say, well, there's historical context. There's a reason why we could say that that's racist. Well, how far do we need to be in the future for them to be able to say, yeah, I could be proud of being Caucasian? You see what I'm saying? So I think it's an overcorrection in society that's happening right now. I just don't understand this at all. Like, with this whole argument that this guy's making right now, like Steven Crowder will literally destroy this guy. I mean, I probably could too with the barbershop. I'd love to be here because I would have some input too. But of course, Steven Crowder is here. Let's continue with the video. I can get this to hold on real quick.
And they're being blamed for something that supposedly their racist forefather did that they have nothing to do with. You think we're ever going to have unity? This is the problem. Unity, if let's say your dad's a or your grandfather's a and you walk up and you slap his teenager, you now have made that person hate you for life. And that's what I'm seeing with not even my generation. Younger people are going, I had nothing to do with this shit. They came up during the riots. They've come up under DEI, and they're seeing a 12-time murder rate, skyrocketing crime, and any proposals they make not holding institutional power shut down as racist.
Now, why was DEI even instituted in the first place? Because for the
DEI is I think is I don't has DEI benefited white people? I just have a question. Has it ever benefited anybody that was Caucasian? Has it helped anybody that was Caucasian or white? In fact, it disenfranchised white people. Like DEI has been a thing since forever, actually, before it's even called DEI, because I was in law enforcement. We had DEI before they even have the term for this. And I'll tell you how it happened, because we had quotas to put women in law enforcement. We lower standards for women. We have women applicants that apply to be on the force or to be in the agency that I was in. And they'll skip over 10 more qualified applicants because there's a woman and they need to fulfill a quota. So to me, I don't want to understand this. DEI just creates more liabilities. To me, yes, it just creates more liabilities. This is just all bad.
majority of time that black people have been in this country and been free, we've been denied so much. Somebody somewhere had to put some things in place to provide access of some kind.
If you believe that.
No, we need merit. That's crazy. Because if you're just having quotas to put people in certain positions, now you're just creating more liabilities that I have to work alongside. Now I have an incompetent officer that I have to do a shift with, which is crazy. You could have had somebody that was more diligent, more educated. I mean, even you can even be more streetwise and be educated at the same time. But this guy beats out all those applicants, thus putting me at more risk on the street working alongside him in law enforcement because they need to fill a quota. And now I have to worry about coming home to my family. I've literally worked with people like this before, and that's horrible. Just because we need to have some get back, quote unquote, get back. Like, I don't understand this.
That's fine, but you can't tell that young white kid who had nothing to do with it that he should just sit down and take it, especially when they're getting killed.
That's literally what I just said. We're skipping over people that are more qualified because of merit. This white person could have just beat out all these applicants, but now he can't do this. Like, I just don't understand this.
That's what America has been telling us for the longest.
The young white man that has to
Not in my
with the DEI, the young person of this generation that you said that feels they're misled by the being mistreated by the DEI.
I'm just using it as an example. They don't hold any institutional power. Young white people don't. They don't have an advantage.
Not yet, because they're young white people. They have an advance to where they're middle-aged white people, where the power comes.
What? Have you ever heard of trailer park people? What? Oh, it's crazy. This guy's whole argument is just dumb. It's just, I'm just going to say it right now. This is just ignorant.
See, what black people, once again, when you got colleges that denied access to black people, you can't come here. Something had to be put in place. Well, look, y'all got to let some black people come here. Y'all can't just
That started happening long before DEI.
But see,
All DEI
It did, long before. Black people were admitted into colleges, HBCUs.
Hold on, let me say what I'm trying to say.
My bad. I'm trying to make it clear.
He's trying to do a senior census and talk through you. So
Well, because you trying to.
No, I get it.
DEI is just a new way of wrapping affirmative action.
Yeah.
Affirmative action had to be put in place because there was the access being denied. So the legislation had to be put in place. Well, look, we can't just exclude all of them. So somewhere along the line, they have to be allowed some access. Okay, that was put in place.
Yeah, but we don't see the inverse of this. Do you see any white barbers in this barbershop? Hold on, let's go look for a real good example of this. Are there any white barbers working in this shop right now? Go to any black barber shop or just look online at black barbershops. Tell me if there's any, is there any affirmative action for white people that's happening right now? What about in black owned shops where it says black owned? Are there white people that are normally in there? So it's like there's an overcorrection that I keep referring to. This is ironic. He's in a black barbershop saying this. I don't understand. In a debate, I would have totally pointed this out.
Now, fast forward till now, those same things that are put in place for those people back in those generations that are still in place, they're not excluding people from getting the places they're just still trying to keep those.
This is probably the most white people they've ever had in their shop. Look at this cameraman. Look, he's a cameraman. He's not even a barber. Like, this is probably the most record numbers of white people they've ever had in their shop.
Those doors open so that those black people that were coming through that door can still get in. Because if you remove those, over time, we will be denied the access again.
If a black person has lower SATs, right, and lower GPA, should he get in over an Asian or a white person?
Let me ask
If
So I'm not really looking through the comments that much because of the way that I got this set up, but I did see that black women are the most graduating. Well, here's the thing though. They're allowing a lot of graduates, but when you look at the grades and test scores, no, they're not the most educated. They're just the most graduated. So these are two different distinctions that we can create, right? They're pushing through because all you need to do is have a lot of money. It's the same thing in Canada, and just show the hell up to school. That's it. And they're literally doing this with their liberal arts degrees and everything else. This is happening a lot. They're actually getting rid of men's programs like in high school, weeding out men from college as well, too, because they've eliminated shop classes. There are some school districts that have eliminated PE. Boys are very hands-on. So what do? We have now gender programs and everything else. It's really more liberal than anything else when we're looking at the university. So yes, black women are the most graduating, but when we look at education, as far as like numbers, statistics, grades, no, not the most educated. So if we were to look at that, yeah, look online, look at the stats of this. It's very telling. So, I mean, there's a huge difference between the two.
If all things are supposed to be laid out equal, no, you shouldn't get. If you don't have it,
that's what's happening.
What it takes to get in. No, but
it is happening, and I'm telling you, young white dudes are pissed.
That's
I'm
not
telling
the
you.
majority of what's happening.
It is happening. It is happening.
Relates to DEI. First of all, DEI has been more beneficial. I'm a former commercial contractor. All right, DEI and affirmative action have benefited white people vastly more so than black people. All you gotta do is look at the business ownership.
I do got to say I didn't make an inference on wisdom because I did see that too. So if we look at testing scores, how they test out, yeah, I can make an inference on wisdom as far as like retention, as far as education, like scores. Well, like businesses do inference on wisdom. They'll say, hey, if you want to work for Charles Schwab, how well did you do in school? Like, is that not an inference on wisdom when we do this? When employers say, hey, I'm applying, I'm having all these applicants applying for their jobs. Okay, what were your test scores? If you're a lawyer, how well did you do in school? Isn't that an inference of wisdom? So it's like, for me, it's like, yeah, I love doing debates. This is what. So anyways, let's get back to this.
Or what have you, and you notice that as long as that white female happens to be 51%, then she qualifies as a minority and a double minority because she's white, she's among the minority in business ownership, and she happens to be a female, right? So you look at that based on population dynamics, and that automatically tells you this whole thing about DEI was, number one, not as much targeted towards blacks as much as it was targeted towards minorities, which includes that LGBT, I agree. Right? So when we talk about that, we need to really deal with the real problem. And as it relates to the riots, let me tell you something right now. Listen, in the black community, I'll be the first to acknowledge, we do have intractable problems that are not going to be solved in one conversation. But what I'm going to say about that as well as the reason why the black community becomes so infuriated, all right, is when you see gross negligence of justice happen or misjustice happening and nobody does anything. When this guy kneeled on this man's neck, going back to George Floyd.
You mean like when Irina happened? You know, nothing happened really. You know, after this guy gets let out of, you know, prison, jail, wherever he was let out of, like 15 times. Like the same argument. This knife cuts both ways, though. Like he's just making a you know, but what about themism? You know, I don't know. This is very common. I'm seeing this pattern in this barbershop happening right now in real time.
Look, if done something. When he was subdued and on the ground, what was the real reason for kneeling on his neck except to inflict fatal harm? What was it?
I can tell you exactly what it was, and I can.
They had training, actually. The training that they were doing, it was department wide. So there's a reason why. If he doesn't mention why, then I'll bring it up.
Tell you why you're not recognizing the problem. Because the opinion polls, and I'm not saying right or wrong, the opinion polls have changed on George Floyd since I last spoke with you. You know why?
Why?
All the body cam footage came out. You know what? You know why? Because
Yeah, that's true. Ever since we had body cam footage come out, a lot of complaints about police brutality went down because a lot of people saw the reality of everything that was going on.
he was there for 12, 15 minutes, asked to be put in the car. They put him in the car. Asked for air conditioning. Gave him air conditioning. Asked to be taken out of the car. They took him out of the car. He wouldn't stop moving. People have watched it now and go, you know what? It's not what I thought it was. You know how many times he was arrested before that? 9. He shouldn't have been. You know what would have saved him? 3-strike policy. He robbed a woman at gunpoint with a child in the house. And so white people look at it, young white people, right? Who you have to understand, during COVID, this is a whole generation of people. White people did not have any fucking opportunities during COVID. They didn't get to go to the graduation, college, black, white, all of them, right? It's a generation that's pissed, rightfully so. They got screwed. I think we can agree on that. They're going, I watched my city burn down for a guy who was arrested 9 times and committed violent crimes against women. What?
Now, you know, let me
That's a travesty of justice. He shouldn't be out in public.
Let me say this to you.
How many felonies does President
Got him. That's a good point. That's a really good point. Oh, look at that stance right there. Victory stance while sitting down. He's like, I'm just going to grab my drink. Just totally dunked on all you guys.
Trump have on his record? Yeah, he was still allowed to occupy the most.
No criminal felonies.
Yeah, got him twice. Oh, this is crazy.
He has no criminal felonies, but he's got moral felonies, which would, if there was a
Moral felonies? What's a moral felony? I swear, I feel like people are just making shit up as they go.
court of justice for that, he probably would be tried a long time ago. I mean, let's talk about it.
Is this where we all
What's a moral felony? We're just making up new lingo.
get on board with crazy white bitches
No,
who
not
accuse
at all.
men of rape?
No,
Like,
not
I'd
at all.
probably find she accused 26 men of rape, that
Not
crazy
at all. But
broad.
here's the reality, though. And when you look at the convergence of this new agenda, where you're going strictly into blue cities, why is it that most of those blue cities also happen to be occupied? The areas they're going in are heavily occupied by minorities. Why is that so?
Well, black people tend to vote Democrat, and they're run by Democrats. Detroit, you can look at it. You can look at Chicago. Is that what you mean?
I mean, no, that's not what I'm asking you at all. What I'm asking you is, like I said, with this all-out assault right now, just last night they were talking about something in Chicago, right? But at 1 o'clock in the morning, you had people in military gear, what have you, helicopters and all this kind of stuff like this here, not just knocking doors down, but dragging people out.
Because it's the murder capital of the country. You just said black people are more.
Yeah, and then not to mention that I covered Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago and how he's basically having ICE-free zones there, places where federal agents can't come in. Let me know if there's anywhere else in the nation that federal agents can't go besides, I would say, Slab, California, something like that. I think it's called that. They can't go there. They don't have jurisdiction there. Or also, I would say, national parks. They don't have federal jurisdiction to go there. That's it. Like, there's no such thing as ICE-free zones, but Chicago's trying to create this. But to me, it doesn't really make any sense. And, you know, you can't really impede ICE agents or federal agents in the process of them doing their jobs because police can't stop people and say, hey, are you a citizen of the United States? They're not even allowed to do this. Who else can do this? But then you're saying, well, ICE is doing their job. Oh, that's so horrible. That's literally what I'm hearing right now.
Harmed by this. We don't want to take out murderers?
No. I think really what truly was you're confusing what I'm trying to say to you.
Are you about the National Guard in Chicago?
No, what I'm trying to say to you is this, though. If we're going to talk about the problem, let's talk about the problem in its totality. The fact about it is, like, when you talk about white America being pissed, white America is going to always find a reason that doesn't fit their narrative away.
So now he's making an assumptive claim. He jumped from people coming in and pulling people out of houses. And then when that didn't work, now he's going to, well, when this doesn't fit, you're literally doing this because that didn't fit. That narrative didn't fit of people being pulled out of their houses and them doing their job. So let me run to this. You're contradicting yourself right now because when one narrative doesn't fit, you're going to jump to the next, but you're saying what white people will do this when it doesn't fit.
But what white America fails to talk about, and what never ceases to amaze me, is the fact that the biggest threat is not going to come from blacks. The biggest threat is coming from within. You look at the average person that's been committing some of the most heinous crimes over the.
And who's the average person committing a crime? large majority is blacks. And he's saying the problem's going to come from within. From within what community? Your argument's literally imploding right now. You're literally pointing the finger yourself, trying to figure out how to point it at somebody else.
It's 22 to 29-year-old white males, right? Look at how
No, it's just not true, man. Violent
He just pulled this number out of his ass. That's insane.
crime, you just said, like you said, a small percentage of the country, about 12 to 13%, 50% of the violent crime, but the murder, a 12 times likelihood.
That's a skewed
If you
stat.
just, so you don't listen to them?
No, I said that particular stat is skewed.
It's not skewed. These are from the FBI,
13,
DOJ.
15,
And you know what else?
He's got a phone in front of him when he could be using Google right now. And he's just saying, well, it's skewed. How you know, like he could have just used his resources. He could have looked that up and he could have turned the phone right back at him and said, see right here, it's skewed. That would have been a better argument, but he's on his phone, distracted, doing some other stuff, which means he doesn't really care that much about the argument to be engaged. He's literally on his phone doing some other stuff, but then just throwing stuff out there. That's how I know he's full of shit.
We look at Roland Fryer from Harvard, who conducted it, black guy, black professor, really respectable guy, honorable man, conducted a study, and he came out and he said, yeah, all of my research says that black men are 0% more likely to be shot by police officers than whites. Black people got so mad at him, he reconducted the study, a black man from Harvard, and he came to the same conclusion, and now he's not black enough.
Wait, so let me see if I understand you clearly.
Yeah, if I was there, I wouldn't be black enough.
You're saying, according to this guy's statistics, right, that black people are 0% less likely to be shot by a white police officer.
A
right?
liberal professor at Harvard, yes, and he conducted it twice. Because black people said what you're saying. He goes, look, I was as surprised as you. I was trying to find how much worse it is. My data showed me it's not. He reconducted the study an entire time. Now, he did come to the conclusion that an officer is 18 times more likely to be shot than a black man by an officer. This is a black liberal who studies statistics. At what point do you listen to him?
He may be a black liberal.
It's like you're being presented with all the evidence in the world, even somebody on your side, even the person who has nothing to gain from this, it would be more beneficial for them to kind of scrub the good evidence and then try to just doctor it. Like they don't even want to buy this or believe it. So it's like, but what about the white people times 3 times I don't believe it, even if it's right before my face? It's just cognitive dissonance, man. The guy literally, and what does he have? He has a phone in his hand. He could be Googling. He could literally be cheating during this debate right now. Doesn't do this. This is the I don't understand their thinking at all. Like I would literally be on my phone being like, you know what? Let me see if I can debunk this. This is crazy. Because I don't think that this is a formal debate at all. It doesn't look like that, which means there's probably no rules of saying, hey, you can't be on your phone and debunk this. I would have been on my phone in a heartbeat if I was on his side. It just said, hey, hold on. What's the problem with this right here? This is what I see. This is from Rutgers University, such and such, whatever. I would have been doing this. He's not doing any of that stuff. He's not even invested in this argument. Like he either doesn't care or is either making up stuff on the fly, or I don't know what's going on. He's in denial for sure.
Once again,
I don't believe him.
that's skewed too.
Institution, and if he comes out and says something of the sort, there's no telling the backlash that he may not get. Listen.
Then if black people can't say something and say that you're wrong about stuff and tell black people that they're at fault, then who can say this? Because if white people say this, then they're racist. But if black people say this, oh, you're wrong. Well, then who can tell you that you're wrong, even if they have the truth? Nobody can tell you this. This is the problem that I have with black culture. Like I can't say something because I'm not black enough. Somebody that is so black that when they got out of a car, the oil light turns on, like that type of black, they can't say something because now they're a traitor to their race. They can't correct black people or black culture. White people can't do it because they're racist. It's like, this is the problem with black culture because nobody can correct black people about things that they do. This is a problem that's reoccurring that I run into on Fatty's channel, everybody else's channel that has a black conglomerate of people. I can't correct anybody, even with facts. I'm wrong because the numbers are skewed. So all I hear, this is all, what about the white people?
There are token blacks in every society. I mean, all you have to do is look.
No, because everybody he mentioned is token. The black guy on the bus, mental illness, just token black. The black professor, that's liberal, token. Everybody that Steven Crowder brings up as an example is automatically token. There's nobody that's going to be not token that you bring up. You could bring up 100% of the population, they'll all be token.
And there we go. Right? And Uncle Tom, this guy, like, come on.
No, hey, but here's my thing. Here's my thing, Steve. Right? I'm not alleging that the guy wasn't Uncle Tom. But let's be frankly honest. How many shootings have happened in most recent history that have involved black men that have been unarmed? And you sit here and use that analogy that black men are analogy times. Listen, as a totally.
Yeah, he didn't even bring up an analogy. This I don't know if this guy is like really thinking right now. It just doesn't really make any sense. It's just crazy. This is just horrific denial right now. Classic denial. It doesn't really make any sense. I don't understand. Like, I understand, like, amateurs, if you're in a debate and your recall isn't that good, like you're not really paying attention to the arguments. One guy's on his phone and is in the middle of texting or responding or on the internet scrolling and then just throws out answers. I'm going to think this guy isn't really engaged. Then this guy with the glasses is saying, well, we're not responding to the hypothetical. I don't care about your hypothetical. He never offered a hypothetical. And Steven Crowder said that it wasn't a hypothetical that I said. I don't think that they're that engaged, don't care, they're in denial, something. But this is crazy. And I would consider this like a 1v3 at this point, as far as a debate. They shouldn't be taking this many L's. Like, 3 heads are better than 1, right? Not in this situation.
Blind individual. Listen, I'm even apprehensive. There was an incident where the police stopped us, and it was my cousin and I. My cousin is a retired military vet, or what have you, right? And immediately when we got out of the car, out of fear of possibly being shot, the first thing I did was raise my cane and say, "Officer," I said, "listen, I am totally blind." Before we get out of hand with this, right? Now, I shouldn't have to react like.
I didn't know he was blind. I just thought he was an old man trying to look cool with some glasses.
Like that. But when you start looking at what's really happening in this country, many times because see, here's the deal. I don't care if you put on a uniform, you can't legislate the heart of a man and his intent, all right? And many times these officers do allow that badge to give them impunity to operate and exercise their racism. Let's be honest here, Steve.
Some of them do. By the way, I just find it funny that when I came up and shook your hand, you didn't tell me you were blind this whole time.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I didn't know he was blind. Yeah, it's crazy. I guess we both assumed.
I was like, I must have woke you up. You could have said, dude, I'm blind. I was like, oh, my bad. I'm sorry. This whole thing. You just throw that out there like a cluster bomb. I'm like,
Say you should have waved his cane when you came in.
I feel like an asshole in the middle of the room.
That's what
I don't.
I told you when you said, "Is he sleep behind the glasses?" I was like, "No, he just can't see you."
Hey, look, I thought you was making a joke. I said, oh my God, here's this condescending asshole here.
It's okay. He forget he blind sometimes.
I had no idea.
No, man, but you know, being
I agree. You can't legislate what's in a man's heart.
Yeah.
But you can't throw out everything. You can't go, that stat skewed. That black guy from Harvard who was always a liberal who did it twice is skewed. You can't throw it out.
That's literally what I just said. I said everybody's going to be a token black man if I bring somebody up. They're all token. There's no one good example, even with 100% proof, 100% evidence in this black shop where I could probably bring it up and then it'd be like, oh, you know what? Let me think about it. You could be right. I'm not hearing anything close to that at this point.
How often do you see black police killing unarmed white people?
Actually,
How often do you see
rarely.
that? How often do you see that?
well, I tell you, actually, the stats show that when you're dealing with armed white people versus black armed people, white armed people are more likely to be shot by the cops than black.
White armed people are more likely to kill police officers. Look at what happened in Kansas where those 5 police
Let's call the
officers
stats
were
a wash on that. Here's what I do know. Everyone wanted the body cam footage, and I agree. I was like, we should have body cam footage. We should have accountability for police officers, right?
Yes, I agree. I was one of the people that also wanted this as well, too. A lot of people were like, oh, we got to wear this. Because it was like, damn, man, like, I can't just take a break for a minute. Like, it's one of the biggest complaints that we had that I heard when I was on. So, I mean, I don't know.
And we were to believe after the era of, remember, we went through Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Mike Brown, obviously George Floyd. There were so many that you could use as examples.
Also, it's kind of like, I got to really watch what I say because the camera. And it's like, I want to be able to relax a minute and just joke around and fuck around with people that I work with, coworkers. It's like, so it kind of like changed the culture a little bit when cameras came out too.
We thought that we'd have a rash of body cam footage showing us the police brutality. You haven't seen body cam footage of note in the last year. Once that footage came out, It's about a 20-to-1 ratio where you see someone getting violent with an officer. We have not seen what we thought we would see. And now people are going, okay, so maybe not the body cam footage, right? We thought we'd see all the abuse.
Wait a minute,
Reflects
before
the
you
stats.
jump off of that point, what about the body cam footage where we see white people and white police, and the white citizen is being belligerent with the police, but the police showing extreme restraint in dealing with that person, whereas black people will reach for your wallet, bow, you get shot. I got a phone.
Wait, hold on. Black people reaching for your wallet, or is he talking about their own wallet? Anyways, I'm just going to be nice here and just say that he's assuming black people reach for their own wallet. Well, here's the problem, though. One could look at social media, and the thing that I see here now is like, I see white people, but people are quick to record everything nowadays, even put people on blast. It's like, you could make highlight reels for a whole week if you're talking back to an officer. Why is it that when I get on social, this could be maybe the algorithm, this could be a wash too, but when I get on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere else, I'm usually seeing black people being belligerent. Officer, why you pull me out? What you think this is, a game, officer? Let me talk to your commander. All this, like, I'm hearing all this the whole time, finger waving, everything else is typical, stereotypical, whatever, angry black woman stuff. But it's like, I see a lot of this from the black community. I don't see a lot from the white community. This is something that I don't see that much, let alone police cameras or anything else. Black people are producing most of the content when it comes to talking about the police officers.
In my hand, bow, you get shot.
And I'm
not doing anything. Bow, you get
The
shot.
stats don't reflect it. But white people are being killed in record numbers right now, and they're pissed. And if you keep just not listening to them, look, like you said, white people are the majority of this country. You have young white people who are getting more and more mad. I'm just telling you the truth.
They're getting radicalized. They're getting radicalized because they're seeing this pattern of behavior not becoming addressed. We have DEI when it comes to certain cases, like the guy that was let out 15 times and stabbed Irina Zarutska in the neck on the bus. How's that not DEI? I'm going to release him for a 15th time when he's committing crimes all the time. Even the guy, I did some research. His father was put in prison or jail 8 different times and then released for violent crimes sometimes. So it's like, we could say that runs in the family, but I'm like, there's a condition in the black community where we have repetitive patterns that we see all the time. I know it was like double talk when I say repetitive patterns, but when we see these patterns all the time, like, this isn't getting addressed. And if enough white people see this, they're going to be polarized like I was when I worked for police and when I worked for law enforcement agencies after this. I got this polarization happen, and I was like, damn, I'm not racist. I just noticed that when I run into black culture, I always have a problem, and it's always bad.
Truth.
What they mad
And they have the guns. They're mad because this thing. Here's why. Here's why. They go, look, I'm 12 times more likely to be killed by a black person than you are a white person. And you go, well, that doesn't count. They go, look, my dad's business got burned down.
Yeah. And where?
My city got burned down. I've been accused of being a racist, even though I'm not. And I'm looking at this right now, and I'm not allowed to have an opinion. And I can't go into certain neighborhoods because I get my ass kicked. And then you just say, yeah, but you've had systemic power.
That's crazy. Oh, I'm glad that he did. This is a good art. I don't know how they can refute all this. This is all true. I see this. They can't refute. The best thing that they can say is, and it's the worst thing that they can say because they don't really have any refutation for this or a counter. But what about the white people? It happens to white people too. No, not in the same numbers.
That is a surefire way to breed racism.
Let's be frank about that, Steve. Now, first of all, here's why I just...
And mind you, he's not justifying this. He's just saying that there's causation. What he could show, like, this could be a probable cause of this. That's the train of logic that I'm seeing. Now, what people can do is they'll take this in out of context and say, oh, Steven Crowder's justifying racism by saying because this happens, that's why they have to do this. But you see how we can then clip things out of context and then make people racist, like they try to make Charlie Kirk racist just by the same rhetoric that also doesn't really make any sense. He's just showing that if this happens in enough amount of times to people, that there's a pattern. People have pattern recognitions. We're pattern recognition machines when we walk around. That's why if I walk into an Asian shop, this Asian lady is going to be like, damn, there's a black person. Now I have to really look at them to see if they're stealing something. Well, there's a reason why she came about this. And maybe it could not be because she's racist. And yes, I'm assuming at the same time, but people develop pattern recognition. And we have this. We're ingrained in this. This is a survival technique. If I get killed, if my family gets killed by jaguars all the time, I'm not going to want to go ahead and pet a jaguar because I've seen it happen enough times. So it's like, I just don't understand this. Like, I'm dying to hear this guy's refutation for this.
I disagree with you emphatically, right? Number one, when it is historically proven when there are riots, and this is the crazy part, most times we as blacks, we tend to riot in our own neighborhood for the same reason why we're not 12 times likely to kill a white person, because of that fact that the penalty is going to be much harsh, okay?
So, no, I disagree with that wholeheartedly, because here's the thing, though. Can you show me any demonstrate, like if I was in a debate with this guy, I'd say, can you demonstrate me, can you offer me a demonstration how the penalty for burning down a black-owned shop would be worse than burning down a white-owned shop? Can you just demonstrate this for me, why that would be, where there would be a difference? Like, could you make that make sense for me? Because to me, I think you're going to suffer a penalty. To me, it's just maybe there's just states, districts, things like this that could be a variance on that. But at the same time, I don't think that you're not going to get penalized. Like, to me, it's like he's just making an argument that just sounds like, well, it's not as bad as if we tear our own shit up. You know, at least we're not, you know, destroying white communities and they're not going to be as mad. No, that's not, like, this isn't even a good argument he's making right now.
If black people really were going to, if black people were really the kind of threat and menace to white people as we're going to sit here and say that they are, never mind the stats, there's no way in the world that most of us would still be here, because guess what? You guys would find a way to deal with the problem if it is from a multiplicity of angles, all right? So, like I say, when I'm saying this right now, when it comes to stats,
he literally didn't say anything. Literally, he's just talking. He didn't say anything. And though that whole time, he didn't say anything of substance to even counter what Steven Crowder said. Nothing he said was a counter. It just meant nothing.
who controls that narrative, Steve?
We did deal with it. You know, we dealt with it in liberals in blue cities. Cashless bail, catch and release. We did everything that was demanded. Defunded the police in certain neighborhoods. Guess what?
Speaking of which, Mayor Brandon Johnson, I hate to go back to him all the time in Chicago. He was defund the police. And now he's anti-ICE. ICE-free zones. Who'd have thought? Go figure.
For defunding the police.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's the deal.
Now, I will say it's mostly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's mostly black women. It's mostly black activist women. And they're not representative of black men. I get that.
Just like the guy who killed the lady on the bus that you were talking about earlier, right? He doesn't represent black America and what he did. I mean, listen.
Here's where he does. Just listen to me.
So they're cherry picking right now. They're saying, well, one black person doesn't, but when he brought up the liberal professor, he didn't either. So I feel like this is going to be a common trend. Like I said, anybody that they bring in is going to automatically be a token black person. There's going to be 100% token black people in this whole conversation. We're hearing it here again.
Here's where he does. Here's where he does to a lot of people. This is what I'm just trying to.
And then not to mention that, but he said, I got that white bitch after he stabbed Arena Zarutska in the neck. I got that white bitch. He repeated that twice. Once again, they also said at the beginning of this that this isn't a racial issue that happened. But when you stab somebody and you utter a racial epithet or say something about the person's race, like I got that black bitch or I got that white one, like that's definitely racist. To me, they can't even deny that. But they did. They tried.
Because last time I sat and listened, but I want you to hear something really important. Here's where he does. Young white, that person's parents, that person's relatives, look at it and go, wait a second. This guy was out 14 times. And the reason he was out
it was a black judge, too. Like he said, it was a black judge. So they can't say it's not representative of the black community. So it was the judge, it was the system, all this. Like there was a lot of black hands that played a part in this. He had a family, I'm sure. His father was a repeat criminal that got let out all the time. This is all black. They're trying to say, well, that's not representing the black community. His father was black, a repeat felon, mind you. The judge was black that let him out. He was black. It's like the amount of cope right here is just insane.
14 times was because a black female judge, in the name of restorative justice,
just what I said, yeah,
who has received funding from NGOs, said, we're going to have cashless bail and catch and release and the IOU policy in the name of racial justice. So people are going, my daughter's dead because it would have been racist to keep this guy in jail. You need to understand that, right? But you understand it, though, right? Because you just made those same judgments about people who existed 150 years ago.
Yeah. But
this is someone's sister.
Her flawed judgment does not represent the opinion of black people, number one.
Okay, it represents
And his brother was a criminal. His father was a repeat criminal. They got let out all the time. There was a black judge involved in this, and his brother was a criminal as well, too. A lot of black involved in this, but it's not representative of black culture at all. That's crazy.
Systemic correction.
Well, let's talk about systemic correction. And you know what the problem really is? When you defund opportunities to provide adequate psychiatric and institutionalization for those kind of people, that wouldn't have happened. Because let me tell you something.
Here we go. But what about the white people? Is their institution they set up, and them? It's just crazy. Just the blame game being shifted from goalpost to goalpost.
Even as a black person, as a judge, if you come before me 11 times with all of the information that you provided me with, you know what? Before I release you, you know what? I'm going to have you committed to an institution because, number one, the greater good is for me to preserve public integrity, and that's on both sides of the spectrum. I don't give a damn if you're black or white.
Why do you think they're not committing him to an institution?
Because there's no funding available.
No, they were shut down in the name of restorative racial justice.
And
that's why he wasn't institutionalized.
And his family
He should have been in
against
prison.
it too. His family pushed against it in certain like there's some of them cases where they were in court. His family was saying, "Don't put him in there."
I know, and who gives a shit?
But I'm just saying that's no.
Damn, they're like making his argument for him, and and also they're doing this. What about the white people though? Like, there's no accountability. I've never heard 1 ounce, 1 iota of accountability throughout this whole debate. Not hearing this at all. This is if you talk about perpetuating stereotypes, they're doing it to themselves. Well, we're doing it to ourselves.
That's part of it, but when you only include the part that says the judge, you're not giving the whole story, and that's what media ends up doing. That creates these tensions in people. They straw man conversations and only tell part of it.
The tension is there. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The tension is already there. White people are afraid to go in black neighborhoods because
so should black people be afraid to go to school because a white person go come shoot the school up? Because every time we see that, that's what keeps happening.
It's not even close.
But now you're going to ignore. Now you're going to ignore that.
I'm scared to go to church.
You're scared to go to church, but you're sitting in the barber shop with almost 12 black men. Come on, Steve. Now let's be realistic.
Who do you think's more at risk sitting down right here?
Exactly. He know he's not in danger around us.
I'm much more risk.
We don't do that.
And here's an irony.
You know, I just watched my friend die, right?
Steve, let me say this. Know what bothers me about white people, and this is kind of
everything.
No, not everything. Not everything.
Well, we smell like wet dog or something. I've heard all this stuff.
Let me tell you what bothers me about white people. Let's be honest here, because I work with a lot of white people, so I have nothing against them at all. Let me be honest with you. But the problem the biggest problem that I have is that you constantly get bombarded with the excuses, all right? When you really come down to it, let's be honest, man, and let's be really truthful with one another. Ask yourself, what do you expect when you look at architectural oppression, economic depravity, and social disparity? What would you call it?
Bad decisions.
Huh?
Bad decisions.
Bad decisions.
Yeah, I think right now in 2025, it's bad decisions. I think everyone can make better decisions.
And you know what? I'll even go here with you. In all fairness, I think that's absolutely true. So my question for you is, how do we move past this?
Yeah. Okay.
How do we move past
I agree with you. I agree. And I think maybe we'll find some common ground here. If we agree there is personal accountability and bad decisions, and I think we also all agree that feminist white are the worst demographic in the country, along with lesbians.
There's a great book that says, and they were her pride. See, that's what I'm saying.
Like, I'm telling you, like, believe me, I don't have a... Hold on. Let me just clarify, and I mean that. Angry white feminist bitches and lesbians, because if they didn't vote, we wouldn't have half of the shit. But, and this is one thing I appreciate about black men, that white men are so... Black men can talk about these things, and black men are okay being masculine. White men are told it's sexist. There's a lot there. Personal accountability decisions. Now, just take that and apply it. What you kind of just did here is you blamed white people, without realizing it, for systemic discrimination, and that removes autonomy from a white person to be accountable and also rewarded for their good decisions. So if we agree it's bad decisions, personal accountability, we'd all be against reparations, and we'd all be against the criminal justice reform.
I'm definitely for reparations.
No, the reparations argument is stupid, and it doesn't make any sense. I already destroyed this argument on Fatty's channel. And matter of fact, the debate I had on Fatty's channel is that white people should get reparations from black people. So if I had a debate and there was an argument that they couldn't win, why they should get reparations, like then we can go to like white people getting reparations from black people, because every time they get pissed, a city gets burned down, which costs taxpayers thousands of hundreds of dollars. The food stamp and EBT programs that have helped Black communities, all this taxpayer funding, like I can go on. The amount of handouts to like Planned Parenthood to destroy babies in mothers' wombs, things like this. Like there's so many handouts. It doesn't really make any sense. When Black people move into white neighborhoods, property value goes down. That's more money laws. So actually there's an argument to be made when 600,000 white people die to free slaves. So it's like, how much value do you put on a life? So white people actually died to free slaves. It's 600,000 people, blood. To me, those lives are like priceless if they're going to give you your freedom. So I don't think that Black people should get reparations, because if you're getting reparations, there was not one white person that's alive right now that could have stopped slavery. Not one white person alive right now in America that I know of or heard of on the news that owned a slave. To me, this doesn't make any sense. And now that we have liberals promoting immigration or illegals to live here, now you're going to have illegals pay somehow, I don't know, or even immigrants that come to this country legally from another country. They're going to pay taxes. Should they have to pay reparations? Because this is going to come out of their money. So to me, this argument for reparations doesn't really make any sense. It's really stupid, mundane. I think we should just press the factory reset button on this and say, hey, we're all starting off from somewhere, and nobody experienced slavery right now. And you could say the systems were handed down from people that own slaves, all this other stuff. So it's like, you guys have had DEI for a minute. It's like, so the scales have been balanced for a little bit for you to have the opportunity. So I don't know, just doesn't really make any sense. I don't think that somebody should pay like for anybody. Like, I don't think that we should penalize people who never owned slaves. That's my whole argument. And it doesn't make any sense. If anything, Black people should be paying white people. So this could go both ways. This knife cuts both ways. That's my whole argument. Just doesn't make any sense. So if he's going to make a reparations argument, I'll destroy, like I've destroyed whole panels of people at Fatty about this whole reparations debate. So well that I argued that whites should get reparations from Blacks, so they couldn't even defend that either.
So see, that to me, you said excuse. Yeah. That sounds like an excuse to me.
You ain't paid me back. You ain't paid me for what you owe me. It's
what did I take from you?
So to me, another good argument that you guys could use, that I've used from my debate for Fatty, is it's like, so let's say I'm Black. Well, I am Black, but it's like I'm also mixed Black. So how much reparations should I get if I'm not fully Black? If I sell you like a Mercedes, but it has like 70% Honda parts, should I still sell it for a full Mercedes price? So to me, that doesn't really make any sense. So it's like, how many people are race mixed? So it's like, if you're half Black, should you get half reparations? How do you determine? Like, so it's like the waters get muddy as well too when it comes to this. So you can't really have a consistent metric as far as like, if you were to pay out reparations, how much a person should get paid. There's no system for this. They couldn't even come up with this. And then not to mention that, but I think it was like less than 3% of whites owned slaves back in those days. So to me, it's like, if you were to talk about slavery, like all the whites didn't have slaves. It was like less than 4 or 3% of people that owned slaves.
Start another bill.
What did I take from you?
Until you pay this old bill.
What did I take from you?
You didn't take but your ancestors.
But you just said you.
Well, when I say you, I meant it as a euphemism.
But can you understand why white people hear it and get pissed off?
Yeah.
Because I can take shit.
But they're not mad about the advantages that were built into their lives.
So you want young people to pay? Sounds like an excuse.
Sounds like an excuse. Even without paying us back, Steve, know what my thoughts are on this here. Give us an opportunity to exercise our ability and our autonomy. Let me give you a perfect example. There's a gal right now, her name is Joy Reed. Look up her.
Oh, I know Joy Reed. She's out of her mind.
Look up her educational background. You don't think Harvard gave her a degree?
Joy Reid got destroyed. Matter of fact, I'm going to be on Jubilee on the 19th. Hopefully you guys can support. Matter of fact, I should put out, this is crazy. It's my Give, Send, Go. Hold on. Give, Send. I'm going to do a little bit of grifting right now. Just real quick. I understand that, I'm doing this whole podcast and I can't get, I would say even you would even call it revenue. But let me just do this real quick, because it would behoove me to even do this. I think that I have a it's not an obligation to do this, but I think that I do have an opportunity that I should be able to create, especially when it comes to like a Give, Send, Go, which is for this. So I'm debating Brian Johnson, and it's called the Battle for Common Sense Opposing Tech Hubris. Let me go ahead and do a share real quick. I'm going to share this in the chat. If you guys want to donate, because Jubilee's only paying for, I think it's $50 for, what they call it. It's a per diem. I think that only takes care of my lunch. But I think since I can't take super chats, I don't have enough watch hours as far as like the community that I have here on YouTube. Kind of just starting out here to some degree. But I am going to wreck the shit out of this tech billionaire named Brian Johnson. Let me go ahead and put this in the chat. If you guys want to donate, that would be cool if you guys could do that. So it's in the chat. Let's continue. If you like the entertainment, if you like watching me destroy these liberals in debates, and you guys want to see this IRL on Jubilee, this will be fun. Gonna have a lot of fun going out there. I fly out on the 19th. It'll be on a Sunday, and it'll be their Surrounded series. Matter of fact, because they have this casting that they do, you show up and the guy he's the devil's advocate. He pretends to be Brian Johnson of sorts and says, hey, just pretend I'm Brian Johnson and debate me on this. I destroyed this guy so bad. In my opinion, I destroyed him really bad. He ended up saying at the end of the conversation and said, hey, damn, we really want to have you on this. Or he said, I think that you would be really good for this. He then says at the end of the conversation before he split, and he says, would you be available for 3 or 4 more appearances? Just curious. Then I get something saying that the casting was like, hey, we'd love to have you aboard. So yeah, I'll be there on the 19th in LA. This is going to be a bloodbath. I look forward to it. Here we go.
Just because she was a black person or DEI, do you?
I think she's an idiot.
Okay, so
But not because she's black, but she's an idiot.
Okay, so you're entitled to.
I think Van Jones is smart, and I disagree with him. Joy Reid has said things that are so verifiably untrue. It's insane.
Okay, so but you know, as a man, I'm gonna indulge you and say, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna indulge you. I'm gonna respect your opinion, your frame of thought on that, right? I beg to differ tremendously, but nevertheless, though, that's why we're having this open discussion. But let's really talk about where we need to go from here on, and that is the fact that black people have every sense of entitlement as it relates to having reparations. And I'm going to tell you why, right? Because
Joy Reid got destroyed. Like I said, once again, a Jubilee, just utterly destroyed. So I do believe she's an idiot. The black Republican that was on there totally just handed her ass, which isn't going to happen on the 19th because I'm going to thoroughly destroy this guy. So yeah, let's continue.
nobody has ever been as more loyal to white people despite the treatment than black people have, right? Nobody. You show me one race. You know what? They make options and opportunities available when other ethnicities come here or what have you that we will never get a chance to have, right? And then they turn around and tell us, stop asking about reparations. Whenever we want to ask for equality and fairness, it's a problem. So white America.
So it spends several $1 trillion. When is it enough?
Wait, spend $7 trillion on what? What did they spend it on?
Let's go back to Lyndon Johnson model.
Lyndon Johnson, you're talking about the wrong poverty? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
1965?
Why was that done?
All right, but here's the deal.
What about the Department of Education?
Here's the deal. So now you're saying the Department of Education. Let's go back to the Department of Education.
Okay, so my point is, hold on. No, I didn't answer your question.
All right.
The reason that this was given, right, when you're talking about the Great Society program, the reason when you look at the Model Cities program, urban planning, $8 billion into Detroit, adjusted for inflation, the reason that, and I don't know if you know this, black students in this country get more spending per pupil than white students. I don't know if you know that. That's an actual fact. Even in impoverished.
It's funny. I brought up Surrounded and Joy Reid, and guess where? What's where Steven's at? He's in a black barber shop surrounded.
Impoverished neighborhoods through public funding. These were the
Captain Obvious over here, by the way.
Reparations that were asked of white people throughout each decade given, and then we're told, no, that's not the real one. They were given, whether you like them or not, whether you think they work or not. And by the way, I think they're dog shit. I think we should completely suspend the federal Department of Education. I think the Texas state could do a much better job. But those were done in the name of racial reparations because they were demanded,
Steve,
and now it's not enough.
You say that, but Steve, listen.
But what was
you
that?
say we should suspend the Department of
I agree with you, because so why would they do it
It's not
correctly?
because it's not just because it was done in the name of racial justice that it was done incorrectly.
That's the reason for it.
I'm saying that's the reason for it. But along the way of trying to achieve racial justice, you just did it wrong.
But let me ask you.
That's my
Wait, what? What?
point.
You say
People did it the way we were
Your
asked.
reasoning was right. Your approach was wrong.
So now you make some 20-year-old kid pay?
No, but you came out and said something that was just
Yes, yeah.
You said that you're against the Department of Education, right? Let me tell you
Federal
something.
Department.
Yeah, Federal Department of Education. Let me tell you something that has come up in a lot of circles that I'm always talking about as a person with a disability. The Department of Education does a lot more in terms of, even with the enforcement of Section 504, right? 504 says that you must have accommodations for individuals with disabilities, right? Perfect example of it, when you walked in or someone just walked in, did you hear what that thing said? Right, left. Go down to Austin. Let me tell you something. When you suspend the Department of Education, you're also telling the remain 36 million people in this country who have disabilities, you know what? Screw you. Figure it out. We don't have to do anything.
Yeah, but he's talking about the abuse that happens with this. I don't quite think he gets Steven's argument.
Okay, and this is another reason, going back to what we said with the Black America. If you don't have certain mechanisms in place to ensure that there is a fair and level playing field, right? Guess what? The control.
So the problem with this is like I'm gonna just sound like I'm making a universal claim or putting blacks in a monolith. But just understand, I'm not, when I say this, I'm saying the majority or even like a segments of the population. When you give blacks opportunities in certain things, they happen to just take advantage of this. I've seen this a lot in black culture. They end up like having it. There's an overcorrection that happens. I'm talking about in like these social circles, things like this. It ends up being like people just using this as a handicap, whether or not it's programs, other thing, and it just ends up it ends up in abuse because I think that nobody deserves anything. I think that everything has to be earned. This is why a lot of blacks are against merit-based systems.
The party that's in power or what have you are not going to say, hey, wait a minute, let's look at this other disenfranchised segment of the community or what have you and see how can we provide.
I'll disabuse you of that notion. Okay, let me disabuse you of that notion.
Go ahead.
Over $3 trillion adjusted for inflation, right? The Department of Education, early 70s. Okay, before that, they were run by states. Over $3 trillion. What are math scores? What are literacy scores now?
Plummeting, less than 8th grade comprehension level in the nation. Just absolutely dog shit as far as literacy. Just insane. Like, I remember when Bill Cosby was promoting Ebonics. So it's almost like we do it to ourselves. Do you think Ebonics helped out literacy? No, it's just acceptance of ignorance, I think, in my opinion.
And both
depends on what part of the country you're asking that about.
Across the board.
Yes, it's not even about what part of the country. This is across the board. Nationally, we are below an 8th grade comprehension level. And this is just a massive issue that we're having.
You can't go there because I'm going to tell you why you can't go there.
Well, hold on, I'll answer the question. Because then I'll show you an example of something that actually works, because we need solutions. They're across the board down. In other words, $3 trillion, test scores are worse. And they're even worse in poor areas where there's more spending. Do you know where black students in New York City actually do really well? White Catholic schools, where they have more students per teacher, on average 35 plus. In other words, they have fewer teachers. It's done privately. Charter schools, school choice is something I support. That means for everyone in this country. Can't do it.
This is crazy. So they have people like, so in light of the whole Charlie Kirk situation, I didn't see anybody get patted down before the door. This guy just got out of a chair, reached in his pocket, pulled out a wallet. Could have been something else. I don't know if anybody understands like my frame of thought where this is going at. I think I may have a debate with Destiny coming up. I don't know, but if I have to do an IRL debate with somebody, I'd rather not be in the same room with this guy for these reasons. This guy right here is in a black barber shop. Crime rates in black communities are really higher. And then not to mention that, but people behind him who he can't see, this is all recorded. So maybe there's a less propensity for people to do things when they think they're recorded, when really it's like, I don't understand even if that's even plausible, because the guy that shot Charlie Kirk knew that this whole event was being recorded, still shot him, right? We can say, but it was a white person shot him. He's in a black barber shop. So it's like, if you go to a black community, who are you most likely to be killed by? I'm not saying that this would happen. I'm just saying that this is all just things that would be in my mind if I was sitting in his position right now.
Because it's racist.
Let's look at the academia, though, okay?
That's why
When
it's
you
being
start,
fought.
When you start talking about that, what have you, when you talk about test scores, we can go just north versus south or what have you. Let's look at the quality of education that's in these schools or what have you. Are you going to tell me that it's a standardized academic agenda that's promoted throughout this country? Or is it a fact that some people have a different education level than black? Listen, I work with people.
What? He's saying let's divide this between North and South when he said it's across the board. Now he wants to split it up, and he said, well, let's talk about the quality of education. Well, that's a whole different issue then, right? He's all over the board right now. I just don't understand. I would say, hey, hold on real quick. Are you saying it's a certain, that it's not all across the board? Because that's what you just said. If you're saying, let's focus, let's see if it's North and South. Is it North and South? I think that's what you just said. And then he's also saying, like, let's look at the quality of the education. Okay, well, if we're saying that it's shitty across the board and we're below the 8th grade level of comprehension, okay, then let's move on. Then let's talk about the quality. We can do that. I don't mind doing that.
They're bad across the board.
I work with people every day
Yeah, it's just what I said. Yeah, it's bad across the board.
out the north that have far excelled in
That's absolutely true.
tests than we have in the
Bad
south.
and worse.
I mean,
There's no
worse.
good.
Right.
There's no good. There's and here. And what I'm saying is, here's something where we could find common. I've proposed this, many people have, where we go, look, instead of giving money to a school, like you say, some of these schools suck, right? Instead of just putting, let's say the average spending is $15,000 per student. That's a rounded number. It's anywhere from 13 to 50, okay? If instead of putting that money in the administrative costs at a school, what you do is you say, okay, that's a grant, that's a voucher that attaches to the student, and they can take it to any school they want, so they have to compete. So that kid can now choose where they go to school. Can't do it because it's racist.
But
That's why it's been fought.
Yeah,
People
I mean,
say
that's not
black kids would still be stuck in shit schools than white kids.
Why?
Well, see, that comes back
Because
to
they wouldn't be able to
accountability.
transport themselves out of a bad neighborhood.
Okay, so
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. Blacks would make, I think people in the black community would make that excuse. Just like they would say the same thing if whites move out of their neighborhood. Hold on, it's white flight. You guys are leaving and taking all your money with you. Then if whites stay, it's like, oh, you guys are gentrifying our neighborhood. This is bad. Who are you to impede? Oh, blacks can't have their own space. It's the same thing. Like they're literally making the same argument right now, but it's on this education issue. So,
But right now they're stuck with one school.
So when you start asking those why,
so if whites do something, like if whites move left, they're wrong. If they move right, they're wrong. There's like no way that whites could ever be correct on an issue. Like I said, when he brought up black examples, you know, they're all going to just be not good examples, and they're all going to be bad examples no matter what. If you put 100 black people out of 100 black people in a room and you say, hey, hold on, these are the only black people on earth left alive, all of them are bad. None of them are going to be a good example. So I can't give you any examples, which means that nobody can correct black culture when it's wrong. Whites can't correct blacks because they're going to be deemed racist. Blacks can't correct other blacks because you're not black enough. If you aren't dark black, but if you are super dark black, it's like, yeah, you hate your own kind. You must hate your mom. It's like nobody can correct blacks at all.
why and start asking, okay, well, why would somebody say that? Well, this is why.
Well, I'll
why
tell you
would
why they
feel that
really
way?
say it.
And
Because
then
of teachers' unions.
because of teachers unions.
Yeah. It doesn't make, in other words, if a
But
black,
I get
if a
the
black kid right now has to go to
because
one.
in certain communities where they don't have certain resources, it's a lot of kids. Once again, I've raised my kids, graduated 3 kids from. I've been afforded some things in this community that some people down south don't have.
yeah,
Right?
That's a fact.
And some of these school events, I'm questioning them, like, how the hell y'all expect us to have jobs and still transport these kids to and from these events all throughout the day? But if them people down there had to do it.
So you think what we're doing now is better?
Because they ain't got transport. Half of them ain't got transportation.
I think we need to go back to the real
don't have
truth and the real
transportation
truth.
Because that's what I'm saying. Because they're in impoverished areas, and we already know, based on how we see.
So how do we fix it? We have to
This is why you'll never see blacks come up with an answer. I'm just going to be honest with you. Is because whites will never be right no matter how much facts, data they have. If you bring up black examples of, you know, hey, this is representative of black culture. No, that's always going to be an exception to the rule. No, that doesn't represent black culture. It's like I said, nobody can correct blacks. So it's like this problem will never get fixed unless we put accountability into the room and say, hey, I'm going to embrace accountability. I recognize the error of my ways. And I don't ever hear this. And that's the thing, though, because I don't ever hear this, like, you're not going to hear a fix. It's never going to be fixed. The problem is going to be an ever-changing, an ever-evolving problem that adopts more problems on problems.
Pay for a
Areas
car,
don't even
a
have
house?
grocery stores.
No, of course not.
Those same
Oh,
areas
that's
don't.
horseshit.
There's food
I see
deserts.
everyone
Come
here,
on now, you don't
everyone
know
here
about
has a
food deserts.
smartphone. You can literally order any food that's ever existed on Earth to any
But
municipality cheaper than ever.
if you're in an area that already has a lack of resources and you're already low income, how you gonna order something?
Amazon, one click.
But see, here's the
You
deal.
ain't
Here's the
got
deal.
money.
Steve.
We're talking about food gadgets in 2025. Come on.
I think there's a broader problem that we will not discuss. And you know what that is? You've got to go all the way back. This has been an insidious process that's been at work. And the bad part about it is, as long as we as white and black America keep fighting among each other, we'll never see the big.
What's up, Omni Future? I just thought that your Omni-Man PFP was pretty cool. Omni-Man is the GOAT. All right, let's continue.
Big picture. You go back to 1982 under Charlotte T.
I agree.
Eisenberg, who was the Department of Secretary under Ronald Reagan, Department of Education. She wrote a good expose many, many years later called The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. She kind of patterned that after that B.F. Skinnerian behavioral modification, and it ties all into the founder before the Department of Education, which was General Education Board, where they say, you know what, we don't need more painter, we don't need more artists, or we don't need more poets. We just want good cogs in a wheel that are easily taught, that we can mold under our own hand. That mantra still holds true today. So you got to look at that. You got to look at where we come from. We come from a nation that was industrious and coupled with innovation to now everybody tends to do things like you say with your smartphone. You know why? Because pictures keep you from looking at things contextually. All right. So when you think about this education.
He's not really saying anything because this could apply to businesses, because businesses want cogs in their machine that can keep their businesses running. What do universities produce? Employees, right? That then, funnel themselves into businesses that people can then have, which get molded into what the companies want or industries that people want. So it's like he's not really saying anything. This isn't even an argument or anything that refutes anything that Steven Crowder's offering here.
System, you got to go back to what changed.
Look at that look of fatigue on his face. He's had exhaustion right now. So throughout this whole debate, I've seen him drink water. I think because the fatigue has passed set in at this point. Like he's got wrinkles on his forehead. He's like, oh man, this is just the cortisol levels have exceeded everything. I'm just so fatigued trying to see it.
Educational system and why we're where we are. Because you can't just
I just said.
Yeah, but you can't just simply say that everybody wants to be dumb or everybody in the South.
I didn't say everybody wants to be dumb.
Okay.
He's still not saying anything. He's just he's like he said, he's spurging. I'm watching the comments a little bit as much as I can. Yeah, he's just talking. Like I said, he's not saying anything at all, not offering any counter to his arguments. And Steven's like probably frustrated. He's like, oh, these guys don't want to answer. They don't want help. They don't want to accept help. It's just as almost sounds like a self-fulfilling prophecy when you talk about black culture.
I'll tell you this too. Here's another problem why scores are so much lower in this country, especially when you talk about black.
Because money doesn't fix a problem. It's that
money doesn't.
We've thrown
That's
money
a
at the problem
fact.
and it doesn't do shit.
Yes, we've had EBT programs. We've had Section 8 programs, everything else, a lot of handouts still doesn't fix the problem because you're going to have people taking this problem and there's going to be an overcorrection of people just saying, hey, so when you give people things, you end up handicapping them. Like we can look at things like strippers. Why? How come you've never seen a millionaire stripper just from stripping, or somebody that just made so much money that they could now retire off of all the money they made off of stripping if they were a really successful stripper? Because when we tend to get handed things without really working for them, like really genuine work, we don't end up respecting the money that we have, right? So it ends up saying, we end up saying things like, well, not we, but strippers probably end up saying things like, you know what, I'll buy the $400 bag. I can just make $400 tomorrow night. Another 400 on top of the 1,000 I just made last night. So it's like, how much respect do you have for money as opposed to somebody working for Jack in the Box that has to really earn that $400? They're not going to blow their money on, whatever else, because they're going to say, well, a lot of time and effort went into this. It's different. I had to put up with a lot of BS with this. The strippers get out there and they just get numb drinking alcohol and they just say, all right, well, whatever. Give me the money. I just want money, even though I'm just standing here looking good. That's it. Like, I just don't understand this. It's the same mindset that blacks have when they get handed things just because, like, just they're supposedly disenfranchised. I mean, I'm not going to say supposedly, but you know, a lot of situations where I see it's like you could get a job, but let me just collect this check. It's like, I wish I had a dad in the home, but if dad came back, they're going to cut this check off and Uncle Sam's not going to, you know, provide me with his hand on it anymore. So it's also destroyed black families because these women didn't want these men back in the home. But anyways, I don't want to go on a whole speech on this, but
solve the problem at the core root of it and start reforming the real academia, all right? That's where you solve the, so you know what you tell people? We're going to operate in a system of meritocracy. God damn it, you will eat what you kill. If you're giving you $50,000 to go to school and you decide that you don't want to, or you fail to adhere to what's being presented before you, then shame on you.
I agree. You do away with DEI, you do away with the sex.
yes, we do away with it. All right, let's see what he says.
Do away with all of it. Eat what you kill.
Do away with DEI, but make it fair across the board.
But that's what I'm saying.
I agree.
If you're gonna do away with if you're gonna do away with DEI, you got to make sure that the merits are properly being counted.
Wait, hold on. Do away with DEI. Everything's just going to go back to merit. It's a self-correcting system. If we get rid of DEI, guess what? Now you have to earn your keep, like he said, and everything else. But what he wants to do is just, well, hold on. Let me just make sure that this guy, like, you have to appeal to emotions that when logic fails, you know, that's literally what's going to happen. And it's going to just end up reverting back to the same thing. Well, no, I felt like he was being racist because, you know, I don't know. Insert making something up real quick. And it's like, it's going to revert back to the same thing because they literally did that throughout this whole debate. They made shit up, deferred, said, what about the white man? Not taking accountability. No, he doesn't represent black culture because he stabbed Aruna Zarutska on the bus. That's not, even though the judge was a liberal black woman that, you know, let him out again. His dad was a repeat offender that was also black. His brother's an offender. So it's like, it just doesn't make any sense. And then when a liberal professor says, no, the stats are wrong. I did another test on this. No, black culture is to blame for a lot of this. No, he doesn't count. It's like, so they're doing the same thing when he says something like, well, we have to make sure that it's merit-based anyway. Well, you're not going to count it. But if we use your same logic and say, okay, we do away with DI and everything else, you're going to use the same argument that you've used this whole time. You're literally showing this in real time. You're going to divert to feelings over facts.
The reason why DEI was invented, reason why affirmative action was invented, is because you'd have two qualified candidates, same qualifications, but one would get in strictly because his name was Johnny and the other one's name was Jamal. Well, we're gonna take Johnny.
Well, that's because if I saw Marquisha on an application, then I saw, you know, Stephen Smith on an application, Stephen A. Smith on an application. Both of them are black, but I'm just going to think, Bonquisha. It's like, because a lot of stereotypes happen to, you know, come about because when we hear Bonquisha, to be honest with you, I'm naturally going to think that this Bonquisha is probably not going to be as educated. Where does the stereotype come from? I guarantee you a lot of Bonquishas that you've met or Marquisha aren't like doctorate candidates. Like, to be honest with you, stereotypically, if we look at stereotypes have some truth to it. If we look at jokes, the reason why a lot of jokes that comedians usher or utter on stage is because there's a bit of truth to this. So if we look at things like police officers pulling over people or pulling over, seeing people walk with sagging pants, it's probably because there's been a pattern that's recognized the people that sag their pants. So to me, I just think like he's not really making a good argument, because when we think about these two candidates, it's like, yeah, when we hear names, we automatically make these assumptions because there's a pattern associated with this.
Because naturally, Johnny's gonna be better at it, but they got the same qualifications. That's why affirmative action was instituted in the first place.
DEI came in because of shrinking white feminists who wanted to claim credit.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a snapshot you can present it in, but
I agree with you. I agree.
That's a snapshot you can present it in, but
yeah, he presented this in, but can you please refute it though? There's nobody's ever refuted anything he's ever said. I can provide a counter devil's advocate argument if I wanted to be a disingenuous black person, but you know what? I think Uncle Ruckus had really good points. But let's continue.
I'm just saying, like, the reason why.
No, what I'm saying is,
you go down to ask why.
I'm being flippant, but the truth is, black people were being admitted in record numbers if they had the same qualifications before DEI and affirmative action. White shrieking feminists wanted to take credit for something that was already happening because people had become less racist, so they can say, tag my white name on there, DEI. See what I did for black people? It's white guilt. And what I'm trying to tell you is...
Which is a psyop. White guilt doesn't exist. It's something that people want you to believe. They want you to hate your own race. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. White liberals are people that I really don't understand at all, because they want you to hate whites unless they're gay. They want you to love blacks unless they're conservative. They don't make any sense to me. None of this makes sense. And I believe what he's saying is 1,000% correct. Now, I haven't personally looked into this, but I think I can see a lot of correlates and understand his position a lot.
Young people who have nothing to do with any of this, their guilt is running out, and you can't escape the violent murder rate. You can't escape them losing opportunities and being blamed for being racist when they're not. And you want those kids to pay reparations? You're creating a generation of racists. That's what's going to happen. And
then you're going to have a... Then you're going to
we as a black community, we're not creating a generation of racists.
How are you not? So there's this polarized issue right now where blacks are being released, like the judge released the black guy 15 times, kills Aruna Zarutska, and, you know, black people burn their own cities down, and a lot happens in the black community, right? Black people are taking out their children, or I would say black women are deleting their babies through Planned Parenthoods at only 14% of the population's black women, but they're leading in ABs that happen to these babies. So to me, this doesn't make any sense. So when you think about this, he's making a lot of sense. If white people get mugged more often than not, and then black people are given passes all the time, it's like, what are they going to do? Because white people can't speak about black issues, because the moment they do, they're automatically deemed racist. They're racist for even complaining about black people. So to me, this doesn't make any sense. So if he can't speak up about this, and he's being robbed all the time or beat up, and white people are getting shot, things are happening, and black people are getting let off all the time, what do you think you're going to produce? Now, he's not making an argument for why they should be racist. He's saying that I can see why this could happen. That's what he's saying. And once again, they could probably be clipping him out of context like they did Charlie Kirk and say, well, he's racist. This is why he's racist. No, that's not what he said, which is totally crazy.
You know who's creating that generation of racists? Those older white people are feeding that into their kids. See,
no, that's not true, because a lot of people aren't buying into it, just like the race card that these black people are doing. And this race card is running out. A lot of people aren't buying into it. Matter of fact, Brandon Johnson from Chicago, the mayor that's trying to use, say, you black people are being taken advantage by Trump. He's sending these people in to take you out. No. And the black people rose up, and there's a video that I have on this that I can present, but I don't want to go on with this issue a little longer. But these black people are saying, no, we see right through the guys that you're trying to use the race card. You're a race hustler. The mayor of Chicago is a race hustler. And even the black people are tired of this, because they're like, well, we have to live in these communities with these illegal immigrants, and we're tired of this. Like, this is making us look bad, and we're actually endangered by these immigrants who live here, who don't have fingerprints, that if they do commit a crime, they're not citizens. There's a lot of issues with this that this presents.
all white people are not racist. I don't believe that.
No, of course not.
But the ones that come from families that have that inherent gene or trait in them, they're passing that.
Wait, there's a racist gene? What? I can't believe, hold on. They have a racist trait, a racist gene? Tell me he did not just say this. Like, I think I might have heard it all. This is crazy. Inherited a racist gene or racist trait? Let's
Or trait in them, they're passing that on.
hold on.
And then you're going to have
We're not creating a
Then you're going to have
Hey. We as a black community, we're not creating a generation of racists. You know who's creating that generation of racists? Those older white people are feeding that into their kids. See, all white people are not racist. I don't believe that.
No, of course not.
But the ones that come from families that have that inherent gene or trait in them,
A racist gene or trait? I don't know. I mean, everybody that's in the comment section, does this make sense to you? There's a racist gene. Does he know something I don't know? Like, I don't understand this at all. Like, is this something he truly believes in? This is the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life.
They're passing that on.
How?
See, I look at
They're passing out a racist gene. Am I really hearing this in real time? This is crazy. Racist genes are passed on. Let me hear more of this. This is crazy.
this. The gentleman that got killed, Charlie. He was killed by a white man, a young white man, right? From the generation that you're talking about that's getting fed up.
Well, he was
Now,
also banging a
now, his dad had one ideology. He followed another ideology.
Wait, that's not genetic. If you're following an ideology, this could be considered groupthink. This could be like tradition, things like that. None of this is related to genes, right? Nothing indicates that there's a genome. He's not talking about anything as far as biology related issues, as far as like gene splicing, any CRISPR activity that's happening in their family. None of this is being uttered. But an ideology is not related to like genes and things like this. Like you can't say like, well, there's an ideology gene. Like what is this? Like I feel like I'm making shit up trying to explain his argument right now.
That's out the same household. He didn't come from nowhere black. He wasn't hanging around with no bunch of black people.
I know, I agree. I'm not saying
that mindset. His daddy put whatever was into him. His dad either put that into him or his rebellion from his father caused him to think like that. That we're not creating that. Black people.
That has nothing to do with what I agree with you.
You ever seen over in Africa?
None of this has to do with genetics. Like what the f is he talking about? I feel like I just got a lot dumber from just hearing this rhetoric.
See an elephant with a bird riding on his back. That elephant ain't worried about that bird because that bird not stopping him from doing the thing he want to do.
What does this analogy have to do? Why I feel like people just make up shit because we just heard Aesop's Tales meets like Sesame Street here. This is crazy.
Where's the bird?
No.
Where's the bird? You're not stopping white America from doing anything.
You know what? The bird just burned down $4 billion worth of cities and 60,000 assaults.
No.
And what young white kids? No, hold on. You got to
might get blamed for it.
Right.
The bird is half as big as the elephant.
Steve, you act like it's only blacks that was burning it down.
What about the Black Wall Street?
You know what I said earlier, and you just want to.
He would bring a Black Wall Street. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about, which is crazy. See, this is the problem, though. Blacks in black culture like to bring up whole shit that has nothing to do with the future. We're beyond this. Like the whole reparations things doesn't work on me. I have a debate. I've literally destroyed people on this debate. A lot of this, but what happened in the time before you had anything to do with this doesn't work on this. Like I said, there's no whites today that own slaves. There's none of this. Who would reparations come from? Some of the legal immigrants that weren't even in this country, you want them to pay too? Like, this argument is so stupid and asinine, doesn't really make any sense. So he just brought up Black Wall Street. Nobody here was alive during that time. Nobody here suffered directly. Like, this is crazy.
Is when you have a young white person going, okay, why is this happening? And people go, Black Lives Matter. And they go, well, hold on a second. I have an opinion on Black Lives Matter. They go, well, sit down, shut up. Okay, now silence is violence. And that kid goes, well, what do I do? By the way, you're on the hook for reparations, even though his father, his grandfather, his great-great-grandfather didn't own a slave, and he's still 12 times more likely to be killed by a black person the other way around.
Damn. Crazy. Like, Steven just offers a compelling argument that none of them could touch. This guy's talking about birds on elephants and trying to use an analogy which doesn't even work. It's just like it's just to say this guy's walking in and he's like a nuclear bomb just went off and their brains just totally melted.
What I'm saying is society is going to create a generation of racists. What do you say to that young white kid? What do you say to him?
Stay off of TikTok.
Wait. TikTok is just a magnification of societal norms that people are trying to make you accept. So if we stay off of TikTok, stay off of all social media, we would then have to close our eyes to what we see in reality going on the streets. You want us to do that too? Because to me, this doesn't really make any sense. He's just saying, no, just deny reality that's being put through the vector of everything, including TikTok, YouTube, the news, media, and everything. So all social media is just a magnifier of things that already happen in society right now that people are trying to normalize, which is stupid.
Stop reading stats.
Stop paying attention to what these talking heads are saying.
Stop paying attention to reality. Stop paying attention to just be blind. Let's just be blind.
Because they leading you down
Let's be this guy with the glasses sitting down with the cane.
the wrong path. They leading you down a path of paranoia and conspiracy theories.
What if their interactions with black
Just don't believe in reality because it's all fake.
people in general are quite negative?
Damn. This was a very interesting debate to cover. It's great. Let me go ahead and just kind of take this off the screen because, I mean, just covering this was crazy. I wanted to cover this specifically because it really doesn't make any sense. I had like an assumption that walking into a black shop was going to be walking into a place devoid of accountability. Just circular logic and reasoning, not really going to make any sense. I don't think that Crowder was going to have much competition in here as far as like when we have a debate, you're competing for ideals and you want to have a compelling argument, but you also don't want to be implicit in a bad argument that's destroying your argument, which means that we could utter rhetoric that just makes our argument really disposable and throwing it away. Like the black guy that was blind didn't really make good arguments. The guy in the braids sitting next to him was just making shit up. And then the guy across from them wasn't really engaging with the conversation. It was just all emotional arguments because he was like struggling too. So none of this really made any sense. I feel like Steven Crowder, if he was going to walk out of this barbershop, wasn't going to get any answers. I mean, what more could you get from people that don't want to accept any answers anyways? He brought up the black judge, who was also a liberal black, released the black guy a whole lot of times. It's 15 times, right? And then, not to mention that, but the person that stabbed Irina Zarutska, his father was black, and then his brother was black. They both were career criminals. And then they can't say it's not racist because he said, I stabbed that white bitch. I stabbed that white bitch twice. So to me, that's racially motivated. So a lot of this, their arguments didn't really make any sense. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got for this. I feel like I have black fatigue already. Matter of fact, we're at black exhaustion. That's what I want to say. That's the title of this whole coverage that I wanted to do. This is insane. I appreciate you guys for writing this exhaustion out with me. I'm exhausted. Steven Crowder looked exhausted at the end of this. Yeah, he just bodied this whole shop of black people. And matter of fact, it's crazy because if you had a whites only barbershop, that would be racist. But if it says black owned, that's not racist. So I don't know. It's just really stupid. I feel like so Pumpkinhead says, I am dumber listening to that. For sure. Definitely dumb. Let's get back to some of these. I feel like I wish one day I want to get back to saying, let's now read these super chats. I don't get any super chats at all. Not monetized at all. But let me go ahead and pay some credit to some of the people that followed through and endured some of this black exhaustion that we have. He's thinking of his classmate, Gene, from grade school. Don't know what that was in relation to, but maybe I skipped some comments. Fear narrative, definitely. Yes, from Scott. For short, racist Gene. Wow. I was just stuck on that topic because I couldn't believe that they were uttering this. And this guy was saying it's racist, but then went on to explain how it's a genetic gene, but then went on to saying, no, it's a belief thing that gets passed down. So his argument didn't make any sense. Wild claim of a racist gene that gets passed down. This is crazy. He said it's a gene, and then he said it's a trait. Just really stupid. So yeah, please leave the birds out of this. Birds didn't do anything wrong. From Omni-Man over here. Yeah, TikTok for sure. Yeah. And Scott leaves it on we're going to leave it on a final note. I'm exhausted too. There wasn't a lot of deep thoughts, sadly, just more Democrat talking points. They heard mainly and a lot of crazy. Yes, a lot of craziness. Just crazy. So we're almost at the 3-hour mark right now. I did post my, I think it's my Give, Send, Go. I'm going to post it one last time. If you guys want to donate to me and help out a little bit, some expenses for just travel and stay. Hopefully you guys can see it in your heart, because I can't take super chats, but I can take Give, Send, Go dollars. Maybe you guys can, find it in your heart to kind of help me grift a little bit. So that way you guys could see me debate on Jubilee. I'll be debating tech billionaire Brian Johnson. And I do want to bury this guy alive on their network. When it comes to debates, this is something that I love to do. I'm very passionate about the issues. Political, social issues, relationship dynamics, you name it. This is my jam. And I love to debate people on other platforms as well, too. Thanks for following me. Give me a follow. Give me a like. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe bell. That's good. And I appreciate you guys for riding this out with me. This was pretty rough. It's brutal. Black culture is brutal. And when I hear about this, I just feel like I'm a lot dumber for listening to this. Ooh, lightning's hitting. It's going to be raining in Arizona. So anyways, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for riding this out. It's been fun covering this footage. I'll be covering more debates in the future as well, too.